Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are Working Class Nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right. We are Working Class Nerds, the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Monster Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, and this podcast is available anywhere you find podcasts. If you Google it, you can find it. Also, too, big shout out to our European friends. You like us a lot more than Americans. You can watch me play video games at twitch.tv/MarcusB814. You can find the both of us on Twitter. I am at MarcusB814.
And I am at Nick Vern. That's NickVern. And in this week's episode, we're talking about Star Wars: The Old Republic's new update 6.2 and all of season 2 of The Mandalorian that's out so far. That's episodes 1 through 5 or chapters 9 through 13 if you're keeping track that way. And joining us today is good friend of the show, Ted from the State of the Old Republic podcast. Welcome back, Ted. And what have you been up to?
Hey guys, thank you for having me, and it's great to be back on your show. I've been doing a little podcast. I'm working on my next episode 108, which I hope to record this weekend. So be on the lookout for that next week, just ahead of game update 6.2 for Star Wars: The Old Republic. And of course, that's going to be the main focus of what I talk about in that episode. Other than that, I've been enjoying Star Wars: The Old Republic, especially enjoyed the new event, the Feast of Prosperity. It was kind of sad to see that end as quickly as it did. And then outside of Star Wars: The Old Republic, I've been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft Shadowlands, the brand new expansion that just released last week.
How was it? I guess I should say, how is it?
It's good. It's better than I thought. You know, it's funny. The Shadowlands is all about kind of going into the realm of death. It's where we would sort of go if you died in World of Warcraft. So I sort of say, like, Shadowlands is great, but the afterlife kind of sucks. You know, we find myself doing the same kind of stuff that I did in real life. And I thought, if I actually lived in Azeroth and died, and this is what my afterlife was going to be, kind of be disappointed. But other than that, It's a pretty fun expansion so far. Getting a lot out of it.
Well, all the reviews that I've read have said it's not bad. It's not a bad expansion. And I'm like, well, that's not really a review. Are they giving WoW a pass?
It sounds like it.
You know what I mean? They're just like, it's better than shit. And we're not going to shit on them too much because it's halfway decent and it's better than Battle for Azeroth. Yeah. You know, I'm not really sure.
I think it's a little bit early for me. Yeah, it's a little bit early to tell. I think to put a full review on it. You know, they tried to fix some of the issues, not just from Battle for Azeroth, but from Legion as well, with what you sort of felt like was endless grinding of different types of power to increase, you know, your gear and your character. They've kind of limited that a little bit, so you have a little bit more breathing room. It seems to be a little bit more alt friendly at the moment. But, you know, I'll have to wait and see. It's only been out, you know, just barely, it hasn't even been 2 full weeks yet. So
right.
There's certainly a lot to do. So you have to give them credit that there's no shortage of content at the moment and things to keep you logging in right now.
What I like about it is that they're giving you a full expansion. You know, it's your story stuff. They changed the whole way you level in the game. They made it super, super beginner friendly. So I started playing it, I don't know, would you say 2 months ago? Probably.
Like substantially?
Yeah, I started playing it 2 months ago. Yeah, and what I found daunting, and I subbed for 1 month and then I stopped. I haven't come back for the expansion just because life took over. But what I found when I was playing it is I felt so lost in it as a new player to the game, and it was I felt alone because the sections that I was playing in, it was like Ghost Town. I'm playing the content from 2004.
Right.
You know what I mean? People have done it, but at the same time, it was exciting because everything I saw was new. And I kind of like the mindless questing where you just go to an explanation or a question mark, you do the quest and you go back, and then there's no more quests around you. So you move on to the next area.
Right.
And that's how it like progresses. It's not story based per se.
Yeah.
Or that's how it is in that opening area. But I did feel completely overwhelmed. And when you're level 5 and you know that max level is 120, you're like, yee.
Yeah, that's
a
daunting.
long way to go.
Right.
But
it is
now.
No, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, but now, with the level squish, now I haven't logged in since it came out. What is I'm eager to see, I guess I should say, is that when you log in and create a new tune, or I take the tune that I was already leveling, it's going to auto level me to something. So if you were level 30, it squished you down to, let's say 15 or 20, but the max level now is 60. And I feel like that's a doable number as a new player. And with new content, like when you first log in, you go to I'm giving you the quotation marks, their intro area, and they teach you how to play the game. That's an actual intro area. And then they throw you in a Battle for Azeroth's story. And then you'll be able to go into the expansion at level 50 or whatever, or you can pick whatever expansion you want to do and then go into the new content, which I think is pretty cool.
It's not bad. And I have created I think since prior to the expansion, whenever they released their pre-patch, I think I created not one but two brand new characters, fresh characters at level 1, and got them to level 50 pretty quickly. So it's not that long of a journey. And like you said, you can do the intro area, which is all brand new and sort of teaches you the basics of the game and get some decent starter gear, and you just kind of learn how to play your class a little bit. And then, as you said, you can choose any one of their expansions and then just continue that journey and go from level 10 all the way up to level 50, focusing just on one area, whether it's Wrath of the Lich King, Burning Crusade, Cataclysm, whatever one you want. And you can actually, you're not locked into any one of them. You can hop around back and forth. But even with that, I would imagine for a new player, it's still more content in any one of those expansions than you could ever hope to complete on your way to level 50. Like I was sort of hopeful that maybe they'd scale it in such a way that I'd be able to play through like at least all the zone content and all the quests on my way to 50, but you'll still hit level 50 before you finish, I would say the main sort of story content or the zone content for any one expansion. And once you hit level 50, they kick you out. Like you're in a special area where everything sort of scales evenly, and then they kick you out so you don't hang around and finish up the story, and they kind of force you to move on. But it's better than it was before they did the level squish. So it's much more user friendly in that regard.
Yeah, it's new. They're realizing that they have a market of new players that could join and play, but they feel, I mean, a game that's been around since 2004, it's 16 years old. People are afraid to start playing it because people have done everything. But if you start people in, like you're saying, that starter area, and they get comfortable through it, and then they get into the expansion, they're at the same level as the pros. And now everybody's playing the same content for the first time or second or third time. It's definitely intriguing to see a level squish happen. Now, would you say the leveling is as fast as SWTOR's or no?
I'm sorry, you cut out there, so I missed the first part of that question.
I said, what is your... How did I say it? Do you find that you level just as fast or faster or slower in Warcraft than you do in SWTOR?
I want to say it's probably a little bit faster. I want to say World of Warcraft maybe felt a little bit faster than going from 1 to 50 felt a little bit faster than in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Here's what I like about Star Wars: The Old Republic, though, that I don't like about World of Warcraft is you can at least get through all of the story content. Like once you hit max level, you can still go back and play all the stories, and you can kind of do it at your own pace. You can still do, end game stuff, but you can, complete things like Rise of the Hutt Cartel. You can go ahead and do that story at max level. You can do any of that stuff, which is what I like about it. But it's probably a little bit slower, assuming that you are focusing on the story a little bit and you are watching all of those in-game cinematics and not space barring your way through to the end. I guess if you space bar and skip the cinematics, yeah, it's probably going to be faster, obviously. But I don't know. When I level a character in Star Wars, I do like to experience the story, so it takes me a little longer, I think.
Sure. Have you been playing any other games?
Outside of those two, nothing right now. I mean, in fact, other Star Wars games. What was the one? Jedi Fallen Order. Like, I haven't finished that. I want to go back and finish that. I like that game, but I just never finished it. So that's something I want to go back and do. And I kind of have my eye a little bit. I haven't heard too much about it. I don't know if you've playing Star Wars Squadrons, or if you like that, or is that I don't know.
I played actually today. So I was over my buddy Joey's house. He just got like a joystick and like throttle flight simulator kind of setup. He has a couple he has like pedals and a steering wheel for racing games too, with cars.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. He has like a flying / driving simulator setup. So
wow.
I tried Squadrons today, and I am fucking terrible at the flying games.
Yeah, but were you using a joystick or a controller?
Joystick.
Yeah, see, I feel like if I was going to play it and I was going to be halfway decent, I would need to use a
controller.
Yeah,
that, I mean, the stick was fine, but once we like got it set up properly, but like I definitely don't do well in first person in those flying games. Like I was in the cockpit of a TIE fighter, and I'm like, just in like this debris field of like a broken up ship or something.
Yeah.
And flying around, and I'm like, I don't know what's up, down, left, right. I'm just like chasing like the icons on my screen from like where the enemy I selected is.
Sure.
And I'm just like, tipsy turving all over the place. I know a lot of people really like it, that like those flying games, but like we said, when we first talked about Squadrons, it's just not for me. But it's definitely a cool game. It's just not a style that I am into.
I do know. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
I get sick. Like it's like I get crazy motion sickness because then I like barrel roll because I try to turn too fast. The next thing you know, I have no idea where I'm facing and I'm flying away from the battle.
Right, that happened to me too. And it's like, turn around. I'm like,
yeah.
What? I thought I was going towards the fighters.
Yeah, no, you're going up. What do you mean I'm going up?
Right.
Which way is up?
Right.
Yeah.
It's all confusing.
Yeah, I struggle with those
things
too, and I wish I didn't, because I like the idea of it. Like I every now and then I'll go into Star Wars: The Republic and give Galactic Starfighter a try, but I'm just terrible at it. I just cannot get the hang of it at all, and so it's just something it just frustrates me. It's not fun for me. I guess I don't know how many people actually play it or enjoy it, but that I just have a tough time with it. I go in there, I die very quickly. I don't kill much of anything, and it's not my thing. But I wish it was.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It seems like a cool game. I'm not good at it, I mean, it's not for me. But anywho,
Nick, what have you been up to?
So, a few things. Thankfully, this episode I have much more to report in my nerdy sort of aspects of my life than I have the past few episodes. So I've been playing Cold War. Contrary to popular opinion, I'm actually enjoying the multiplayer kind of a lot. I don't think it doesn't feel quite as polished as Modern Warfare does, but it's also like just launched, so I feel like they'll iron out the bugs.
Of course.
So I'll give it a pass for that. But also, like, I'm still having fun regardless. I'm really enjoying it. I like all the sort of 80s themed everything. I like all the guns, and it's just a fun Call of Duty game.
What I will say, the hardest part for me for the game is I feel like it's not even I feel like the game feels good, but for me the maps feel cheesy. Like they were like, oh shit, we got to come up with 8 maps quick. close our eyes, throw some shit on the wall. Okay, there's a map, whatever the spots are.
Right.
I feel like Modern Warfare.
There's some bad maps.
Right. Modern Warfare's maps were quality made. They had their sight lines, but it wasn't made for snipers. They just had, they had the 3 or 4 real good sniper spots and call it a day. Where this game is just, I feel like they just threw it together and they were like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's not like super well thought out. Some of the
I blame it
dynamics.
on Activision not allowing Doc Disrespect to create the maps.
That would be legit.
No, he did. Modern Warfare's maps, he created some of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And because of his Twitch ban, Activision washed their hands with him and said, nope, you can't help us create maps.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Well, I think
the best Call of Duty player in the world, and you're not going to have him help you make maps.
Right. That doesn't make any sense.
But what I was trying to say is, you're right. And that's what's sad about games now.
Yeah. Is
they can put out a shitty game at launch
and just
patch the shit out of it for the next month, and then it's a good game.
Right.
The reviews may be bad, but look what happened with Siege, Rainbow Six Siege.
Right.
That game was trash in the beginning. They basically were ready to scrap it, and then all of a sudden they put in a couple patches to make it a little better, and then the game
kept
blew
tweaking
up.
And tweaking.
Right, and now that game
and
is one of the biggest esport games there are.
Yeah. And then, that's right when I think Al played it at launch, but I didn't. And then I dove back into it like way after the fact.
Yeah, it was like 2 years later where all of a sudden it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And people were talking about it like it was a new game.
Right. And it's awesome. I should go back and play Siege, but to stay with Cold War, I finished the campaign, which is really entertaining.
Was it good?
Yes. Overall, definitely. I thought it was very good. I thought the big twist was a little cheesy and has been done before in a literary sense. Sort of, it was a little tropey, but I thought it was really well done. I thought everything through and through was entertaining, particularly the end few levels. There's a lot of obviously it's set in the 80s in the Cold War, so there's a lot of psychological spy shit happening.
Sure.
But no, it was definitely entertaining. Let's see. I'll stay on the video games sort of theme here. I've been playing a bunch of FIFA, which is always fun.
Just the new one?
No, just FIFA 20. I don't want to buy 21 because it's the same game, just with an updated roster. But no, I've been playing the just the campaign mode as a 15, 20 minute mind, turn off your brain and just do this really quick. Plus, it's always fun to see Vernadakis score for Liverpool.
Huh.
Especially when it's against the Gunners. I noticed you didn't when I sent you a photo. So my fake Liverpool team in FIFA played Arsenal, Marcus's team, and we beat him 3-0. And I sent Marcus a video of the of the score at the end.
Mind you,
it was player of the game, Vernadakis. It was 2 goals, 1 assist or something like that.
But what he doesn't tell everybody, he's playing it on super beginner mode so he can score 3 goals. He's not playing it on professional like he should.
Of course I'm playing it on professional.
Yeah.
Dude, these 2 thumbs are basically Ronaldo and Messi, okay? I just flick the stick and I automatically score.
So I'm going to just interject real quick. So I called Nick today.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what are you doing? He's drinking a beer, painting Star Wars Legion characters. And it's 10:30 in the morning. Probably later, but
it was probably noon.
Okay. So it was noon, but it definitely felt like it was 10:30 in the morning to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, luxury life. The guy's painting Legion figures, drinking beer at noon, and I'm over here covered in sawdust.
Yeah, I have today off. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I work 36 hours a week like everybody else.
I know. No.
But the beauty of 12-hour shifts is you get a bunch of days off.
Yeah, that's true.
So I worked Monday, Tuesday, and I don't work till Saturday now.
Sweet.
But anyway, speaking of Legion, I've been playing a bunch with Joey, friend of the pod. And I went over his house today.
We just said that.
I know. So I was trying to segue into the next chunk of things I wanted to talk about. So Joey's really good at painting these little figures. If you don't know what Star Wars Legion is, it's a tabletop game with these little tiny figures of your favorite Star Wars characters. You have these big army versus army battles with squads of stormtroopers and Darth Vader versus Luke and all that fun stuff. It's kind of complicated, but it's wicked fun. But you have to paint all of the figures yourself, which is cool for some people, but for people like me who are terrible at anything artistic, it's like a nightmare. So I feel bad because Joey always paints everything. Granted, they're his figures, but I tried to paint like a medical droid or something sort of not super important today, and I did terrible. It looked, like when a little kid's first starting to like color in coloring books, and they mostly don't color in the lines. That was me trying to paint like details. So they were like struts on the bottom of the droid that I wanted to paint black with like the gray metallic background, and like it was just all over the place. I ended up just painting it all one color, like metallic. But so kudos to Joey for being able to do that successfully all the time, because I clearly cannot.
Well, he started off and he sucked.
Right.
And then now he's been doing it so long that he's actually gotten good at it, where if you just suck less, you'll be as good as him.
Right. Yeah. But obviously I'm terrible right now. So it's easier to just let Joey do it. But no, playing Legion all the time is wicked fun. It's cool to like, I don't know, be able to do real things with your favorite Star Wars characters. But in sort of like a more meaningful, almost like playing a video game as, your favorite characters, as Vader or Palpatine for me, or Stormtroopers, or Special Forces, whatever. It's always wicked fun. Let's see. Oh, and speaking of Star Wars, I'm almost all the way through Rebels, which is pretty sweet. I'm like at the end of season 3. There's 4 seasons if you didn't know. The most recent episode of The Mandalorian inspired me to finish Rebels, because I'm like, okay, I want to know exactly what's happened so far.
Yeah, because there's some serious tinfoil hat stuff
that we'll talk about later.
No, yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I need to get through Rebels too. I think I'm gotten through towards the end of season 2, so I'm like, I keep meaning to go back and watch it. And now, like you, with what's going on with The Mandalorian,
it's like
and these callbacks, it's like I got to go watch some Rebels. Got to watch Clone Wars too. I haven't seen all the Clone Wars either. There's a lot of
what?
The end of Clone Wars, that new 7th season is legit. There's a few filler episodes where it's like R2-D2 and friends, which I don't love, but
there's a part at the end of Clone Wars where something gets picked up in the snow, and I've never been so emotional about one section of the show.
Yeah, I don't think I have an animated series make me emotional.
Like I was just like, you can feel pain and suffering, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's the thing is now that I'm an old man. Well, no. I shouldn't say I'm old. I figured it out.
Okay.
I'm not old. I'm mid-old. I'm like middle old, right? I'm not I'm not young anymore, but I'm not old. I'm in like that weird point. It's like when you're like 17 and you have your license, but you're not 18, so it's not like you can go to the store and buy a scratch ticket, as an example.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that power, because like when you're turning 18, you're like, I'm almost an adult. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the same thing. Like I'm not old, but I'm not young. Yeah, so I'm like that mid-tier old, and like you can still relate to both sides of the coin.
Right.
Like I can relate to the old, and then I can relate to the young, but because I'm caught in the middle.
Right.
I kind of wish I was just like the old side now, so then I could
just be old.
Yeah, then I could just be old and move on. You know what I mean? But anyway.
I don't know. I mean, I'm older than you, and I'm still feel like in that mid-range there. I haven't quite caught up to the old yet, and not in any rush to get there, to be quite honest with you.
No, I hear you. I don't know. For me, shows, the reason why I'm saying this is like the Clone Wars was awesome when I was a kid, because there were so many episodes that I could focus on and watch it.
Right.
But now
it's like daunting to get through all 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, when you're watching the Clone Rebels, there's like 25 episodes per season.
Yeah.
And trying to catch up on that, I don't have that much time. Like this week's Mandalorian, it took me like 3 days to be able to watch it because I was so busy working. Like I tried to watch it on Friday, but I fell asleep because I started watching it at midnight or Saturday. Yeah. Saturday night, I started to watch it at midnight because I finished raiding, and I was like, I'm going to watch it now. And I turned it on, and like the new Star Wars, like all the faces were flashing, and I was like dozing, and I was like, okay, this is a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
I was going to say, so Rebels season 3. Well, I got a big leg up. So when I had COVID and I was stuck in my room for like 2 weeks because I didn't want to get the rest of my family sick, they would deliver. This is way back in April. They just delivered me food outside my room.
Yeah.
And I would just watch Clone Wars, and I crushed all of Clone Wars, and then I crushed like the first basically 2 seasons of Rebels. So I didn't and then I think I was like on the 2nd or 3rd episode of season 3. And then, since I had the past couple days off, I watched The Mandalorian, obviously, and then was motivated. So I've been watching Rebels. So I had a leg up on like most of the adult world because I was just doing nothing but making sure I could still breathe and watch Clone Wars and Rebels.
Exactly. And for me, with the whole Mando episode this week, I've been listening to Star Wars podcasts like crazy.
Yeah.
And I found a new podcast.
Oh God. I listened to that today, and you and I have very differing opinions.
Okay, good. So this, I feel like it got better as the episode went on.
Okay. I would agree with that for sure.
Okay, so it's called Force Toast, like you're toasting 2 drinks, and it's called a Star Wars happy hour. Okay. It's these 2 girls. They get white girl wasted.
They do.
Or whatever the young kids call it.
They get drunk.
Yeah, they get wasted. So they crack bottles of wine, and they just start talking Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the best part is they burp during the episode. One of the girls is like, bleh, and I'm like, oh my God, these are my people, and they're talking about Star Wars and everything, and it was just
like vulgar and
it was
direct.
It's like listening to working class nerds in a sense.
Yeah,
and it was really lighthearted. And what I like is they had some really good views on Star Wars. Yeah. And I love podcasts, so I like hearing all about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. The content was good. I just thought their vocal fry was annoying.
See, I guess maybe that's because I was raised by 3 women in my house.
Yeah, I get you.
So like the female cackling is just
part of
my livelihood, and I love it.
I get you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But anyway, so thanks, Nick. I'll talk about what I've been up to. Thanks.
Well, I wasn't even done with mine.
Oh.
The fuck? It's not all about you. The Earth revolves around the sun, doesn't revolve around Marcus.
It doesn't? Oh, no, you're right. I have 2 sons.
Oh, my God. Anyways, so the last thing I wanted to say was I talked about potentially getting a new job or applying for one. It's like a honestly pretty cushy compared to what I currently do. Research job.
You're gonna go fucking crazy.
It's gonna be
or you're gonna gain like 85 pounds.
Yeah, I definitely need to go to the gym if I get this job. But I'd be a research assistant in the clinical research office in the hospital I work at currently. So I would go around and like interview patients and do a bunch of desk work, like compiling data and like documenting adverse effects of people doing like drug trials or whatever. I have a feeling it's gonna be all COVID research. Like now, but I get paid more, and it's like Monday through Friday, 8 to 5-ish, no weekends unless you have something comes up that's like a rare event. No holidays, I guess. Excuse me. As an example, like if I had an interview with the manager for the department on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yesterday. That was yesterday. Yeah. Anyways, yesterday, and she said like for an example of someone having to work a weekend, say this one drug trial was for like kids with diabetes, and they had to get injections 12 days in a row. And obviously 12 days in a row means there's going to be a weekend in there somewhere. So you have to go in for like the 2 hours that the kid's there or something.
Sure.
But like, that's it. You don't have to like work a full day on the weekend.
Well, and I want to say you can almost not plan your life, but okay, I work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 1 weekend a month. It's like the Army Reserves.
Yeah. It's
one
no big
weekend
deal.
A month.
Right.
1 week a year. You know what I mean? Like you'll work it's really nice when you have a set schedule rather than that revolving door where 1 week you have Tuesday and Thursday off. The next week you have Sunday and Thursday off.
Right. Plus it's 8 hours. It's not 12. So like, I'm sure I'm going to be tired and not want to do much after work, but like you can sleep in a little bit more and like, and I don't have to shuttle in. So currently working in the ER, I have to take a shuttle in. So if I don't get to the parking lot off campus where we have to shuttle to by 6:45, I'm going to clock in after 7 and be late, which is kind of annoying. You know what I mean? To be like, look, if I get somewhere like to show up for my job, I should be like at least counted as present. Like, I don't care if I don't start getting paid until I start working. That's completely fair. But that always annoys me to like, I have to show up early and not get paid just to be on time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's kind of obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have to do that here because the parking lot is right outside the office.
Oh, wow.
And it's off campus. So it's just like, and then I go in, take the shuttle into or maybe I might even have like an on-campus parking pass to park like where the doctors do.
I don't know.
That's what my mom was saying, because she, long story short, she does that sometimes, has to go in for research stuff. And yeah, you get like you can just park on campus. Get the VIP pass. Anyways, the short version of this wicked long story is, if I get this job, it'll be a substantial quality of life improvement. And the interview on Wednesday went wicked good. So I'm pretty pumped about it.
Did you know, sidebar, I guess Wicked is totally New England?
Yeah, they don't say it anywhere else.
Yeah, so I'll say it to somebody that I'm rating with. They're like, you live in New England? I'm like, yeah, how do you know? And they're like,
you just said wicked.
You said wicked. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't ever say something's wicked something? And they're like, no.
It just means very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
only a New Englander thing.
Yeah. It's because we're the best.
Yeah.
I definitely associate that with New England. Like,
we're wicked good at everything.
Get it down in Virginia, but when I was growing up in Connecticut for a bit, yeah, wicked. Especially my Massachusetts cousins all used wicked.
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
What up, assholes? So, anyways, now Marcus, it's your turn.
Oh, thanks for asking, Nick. Thank you.
It's your turn to play with the blocks. You don't have to knock over the other kids' castles anymore.
No, I never did. I never knocked over anybody else's castles, because when somebody knocked over mine, I lost my shit.
Yeah.
So I learned that, like, you build yours, I'll build mine. We're good.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with my Lincoln logs.
Exactly.
So, okay, I'll start with the non-SWTOR stuff. I have been playing Age of Calamity, the new Hyrule Warriors game. It's a lot like Dynasty Warriors. I'm actually really enjoying it because it's definitely my type of game, where you just go around, hack and slash, dodge what you can, and there's no stupid sword break mechanic.
You hate that.
I hate it. I don't like that kind of gating. Like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, you used to have to eat, and if you didn't, you would die.
Yeah.
Like, you had to like work out, and like you had to do stuff. I was fine with that. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, but I can still do stuff, but it's not like I shot a gun twice and it says jammed or it's old, right, and like throw it away. You know what I mean? Like, don't mess with my weapons. And
I get that.
You know what I mean? So anyway, it's been really fun to play it. And I streamed it once, and I felt like the content wasn't streamable. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I didn't enjoy streaming it, so I haven't been. Yeah. But I've been playing it in the background, which I will say that I definitely like playing the Switch on a screen, on like my computer monitor, rather than like handheld.
Yeah, or like on the couch with the TV.
I can't play games like that anymore.
Yeah, it's too relaxed.
No, I can't see it.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Okay, so like I'm so used to staring at, like, my monitor is
right there,
18 inches from my face or whatever.
Yeah, and it's 32 inches or
27. And then you go, even when I have a 65-inch TV, I still want to put the chair like 4 feet from the screen.
Yeah,
because I feel like I'm not, like, there's too much. You ever see the horses that are walking down the road that have the blinders on the side?
Yeah, I
feel like when I'm playing on my computer, my blinders are on,
and it's all you see is what's on the screen.
Correct. When I'm on the TV, it's like, I don't feel comfortable, and I feel like even though it's a 75-inch TV, I still feel like I'm squinting, going, I can't see what it says, even though I can read it perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's because the TV, when you're sitting in front of your computer monitor, that monitor is taking up basically most of your field of vision. So there's almost nothing outside of it.
That's right.
But like the TV on the wall, it might be big enough for you to see, but you don't get as much detail because you still see like the wall, and the rest of the room is a lot of your vision still.
Yes.
Even if it's a giant TV.
Yes.
At anything at 8 feet, not 10 feet, 12 feet away, it's just going to be way smaller in your field of view.
Right. And that's why I really want one of those big, like, curved monitors.
Oh, okay.
Like the 34-inch. Remember the Alienware monitor, the curved monitor that we saw?
For phosphorus one?
Yeah, the one we used at PAX.
Yeah.
I want one of those so bad, dude.
I feel like nothing to scale properly.
Oh, no, it's going to scale fantastic. And then mount the 2 other monitors above. Anyways, I'm rambling. So I've been Age of Calamity. Oh my god, it's like the hardest world in the world. Just oh my god.
Apparently, you can't say any English words.
No, I am here to speak gibberish.
Oh, wait till we try to get to Baby Yoda's name.
Yeah.
Don't even try. Just wait to try until later.
Okay. So anyway, that game's been fun. I've been playing a lot of SWTOR. I don't know what it's been. Okay, let me back up. I got frustrated with SWTOR because 2 of my teams dissolved, and I was just like, ugh, I don't want to do this shit. Blah, 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 blah. I kind of got frustrated.
Very negative events, of course.
Yep, negative events. So what I did was I started playing Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
And the game is really good, except it's their quests are your progress in the game is gated behind story.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're a higher level, you still have to do every single bullshit story quest they make. And they're like, oh, we made it better. We subtracted 13% of, we got rid of the 13% of the opening expansions missions. You still have 993 to do. You know what I mean?
Ugh.
Yeah. And it's like, go to this train station and talk to this person. Oh, go collect 6 flowers. When you come back, oh, I need 2 pieces of rice. Okay. And it's so mindless and boring. And I want to play it because their content cycle is a lot like WoW's.
Yeah.
You're guaranteed patches, you're guaranteed updates throughout the year. I mean, their content that they're putting out is crazy. It's endless, essentially, in that game. And I want to play it because their raids are pretty legit.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for me to get into it. And they're like, oh, just buy a boost and skip it all. And I'm like, I feel like the first time you play a game, you need to play it all the way through. So like almost like you earn your stripes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like after I beat the first class story of the Sith Warrior, I didn't care if I level boosted somebody because I already did the story on that character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in this game, you can't you unlock a dungeon, the first dungeon, and you click play it. You sit around for a half an hour and wait for it you to find a DPS or a healer or something. And it's like, I wish they would just wake up and say, okay, you can solo these intro quests, these intro dungeons, because you get like 2 intro dungeons. Like make those, soloable so you can push the players up. Because I do not want to sit around and kill things for a half an hour, because now if I sit around and kill things for a half an hour, my level goes up, but I still have to do all these story quests.
Right.
And eventually you're not going to earn XP because you're over leveled for the area.
Right.
So
you're like, it really feels like the story quests are pointless at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I came back. So I've been playing my smuggler in SWTOR, and I just completed chapter 1. It's the first time I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got to kill Slavic, and for the record, Slavic is an asshole. And if you like Slavic and you're listening to the show, shut it off. You have been banned. Because that
You've
prick,
been Slavic.
yeah, that prick stole my ship, and I was pissed from opening quest. Boom, stole my ship.
Oh, what an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a jerk. Yeah, and I think if you play a female smuggler, you have like the opportunity to, sleep with him or whatever, which I can't understand why you would go with that option.
Some
he's
people.
The worst.
Yeah.
So,
well, Hondo, I forgot his last name.
Anaka,
Hondo Anaka, the pirate guy. Who's
Hondo.
I don't know. I can't trace his accent. I don't know if it's Jamaican or like African or like what he's got going on, but it's clearly like an island person.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, he's awesome. But he's kind of a dick, and he's also kind of not. And it's like, it's Hondo. Is it this kind of person, or is this Slavic is just a
no?
asshole?
He's just
he's
just an asshole.
Yeah, he's got no Hondo in him. He's just the bad parts.
Exactly. So, anyway, what I like about playing the smuggler is I get to be, I don't know what the word is, like cocky, arrogant, like snarky.
Yeah.
And I'm playing it as if I'm Kitty Kisses, because the tune's name is Bromance Kitty. And so I created the tune to be just like Kitty, look like him and stuff. So I feel like Kitty in real life, every woman in the world he would flirt with if he had the option. So I flirt with every female tune in the game. Perfect. Anybody that has a flirt option, I do it. Male, female, doesn't matter. I'm flirting.
And by the way, I think the smuggler has the most flirt options of any of the classes in the game.
Well, they goddamn should.
Exactly. Well, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's really, really fun. I finished the agent story, and the first 2 chapters were really good. The 3rd chapter was weak sauce for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole secret society, Freemasons, like shadow government. That doesn't do it for me in Star Wars. But the first 2 chapters were really good. But this smuggler one is really good, and it's almost like you have something to base it off of because of Han Solo.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, in your back of your mind, what's a smuggler like? Oh, snarky, rude, but like a really good dude in the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or female, whatever. Yeah. Whatever you pick.
It's like Han Solo or Lando Calrissian, either or.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of those types.
Yes. Needless to say, I have been enjoying that. I finally, so I'm on a new Nightmare team. I've talked about it. A Rules House of Pancakes. Don't ask about the name. I don't really get the name. I know the leader's name is a Rule. Shout out. But they're dealing with my terrible tanking. But it's
instead of IHOP, they're just AHOP.
Okay, still nothing.
So IHOP the restaurant.
Why can't the team just be like I like pancakes?
Because it's a Rules team, dude.
It's not my team. Right, exactly. I'm just being funny. Anyways, but here's the other thing. So there's a player on the team. His name's Doritos. Okay.
That's fantastic.
Every toon name is named after a Dorito. So there's
like
Cool Ranch, Locos Tacos.
Oh my God.
Locos Tacos or whatever.
Nacho cheese, extra spicy one, whatever it is.
Yeah. So anyway.
Mine's the spicy sweet chili.
Yes, sounds so good. It destroys your mouth after. Like it tastes delicious going in, but about 5 minutes after, that aftertaste kills you. Yeah. Anyways, complete sidebars here. Yeah. It's because Nick and I are sitting in front of each other.
Yeah, we get ramped up. You gave me Monster.
I am fucking amped.
So am I. I'm like 3 sips in, doesn't matter. Anyways.
Okay.
Back at the ranch.
Yeah, so the team beat, but my first time we beat Nightmare Draxus and Nightmare Grobfok.
Yep.
And it's really fun. And what I like is that I'm streaming it. So when people are watching who are, I'm doing my quotation marks pro Nightmare players, they're laughing at the wipes because they know it's killing us.
Right.
Like Corruptor Zero, the first time we pulled, we lasted 6 seconds and we died.
Oh my God.
And it was because 2 people stood in with one of the mines that went off and we were all dead. And my chat was just laughing at us like,
you idiots.
Yeah. This is going to be good. Popcorn time. Anyway. So, since I've been moving, and this is going to go into Ted's thing about the Feast of Prosperity, and I talked about this last week. Now that I've moved, I completely missed the Feast of Prosperity. I did the first week's quest, and that was it.
Yeah.
I did Diner Dash once in the cooking thing once, but then I moved.
Yeah.
But now I'm settled. I'm building a studio in my basement, like a real live studio, so I have my own space right now. I'm kind of in the corner of the basement,
which is like, I'm assuming partially kid land, partially like everything.
Oh, it's totally kid land. I come home, there's coloring books all over my desk because Julia was coloring. Which is fine. But I'm building a studio that's going to be my space. I just ordered all of the soundproof wallboard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's going to be like, I'm going to run all of these. What kind of cables are these? They're not
X something?
XLR.
XLR, yeah.
I'm going to run all the XLR cables in the wall, so it's like super clean.
Yeah.
I'm going to have like a Joe Rogan
studio.
No, definitely not. But I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It'll be your nice own space, and maybe we can get some video attachment to this podcast. And you guys can see our ugly mugs.
Yeah, that's the plan, is to be able to just click a button with my Twitch streaming and go live. And nobody will know the wiser. We'll record the audio version still the same way and move on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been enjoying Mandalorian, which we will talk about later. Mm-hmm. And really, truly, I've been enjoying wearing my tinfoil hat for Star Wars The Old Republic. Yeah. But I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Anyways, in SWTOR news, we just found out today game update 6.2.7.6345 is coming live December 9th.
Great. Isn't it just 6.2?
Yeah, it is 6.2.
Hasn't it been like 6.1 point blah, 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 blah forever? But
forever. So we're finally
it's
getting 6.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been waiting 14 months for the next piece of story, but that's okay. Every other game studio can put out content at a normal
There's
rate.
something else going on, Marcus.
Well, no shit, but I'm not going there. You're not.
They're working on something else.
Pull the fishing pole line back in because I'm not hooking myself.
This is just me unfurling
the
tinfoil out of the roll.
So,
I'm crumpling it into a hat.
But I'm still calling it that the game update. I called it on the show. It's not coming out until December 10th because they're going to run into some issues with it, some bugs or something, and it's going to be delayed a day. Don't take December 9th off because it's not going to work. Anyway.
Wait, is it just because you called December 10th like 6 months ago?
Yeah. Well, no, it was like 2 episodes ago, but I said because every time there's a big update, something breaks and they have to delay it by a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not worth a vacate. I'm looking forward to 6.2, but I can't imagine you would need a whole day off I think you just go to work, come home, eat dinner, and then, spend an hour and you're done.
All right. I'm going to, oh shit. You just did it. If
here's the hat.
All right. Yep. It's not a hat. It's if we load in and we waited 14 months for an hour of content, I'm going to be fucking heated.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You know what I mean? Like, all they've been talking about is how great this next piece of story is going to be, and we're getting the Mandalorian Flashpoint on top of it, but that has nothing to do with the main story of what it is. If this story is an hour, that's it, I'm going to turn into Boris and say, this is bullshit. Okay? Because you can't wait 14 months and tell me you've only produced an hour's worth of content. An hour's worth of story content. Where Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, ESO has all come out with full expansions plus patches during COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know there's bigger stuff coming, whatever. Anyways, I'm just here to remind everybody too, there's big sales on the cartel market. So even if you're not playing a lot right now because you're busy doing holiday, doing whatever, you should log in because there's a lot of good sales right now on the cartel market.
Mm-hmm.
And you should try to take advantage of some of those if your heart so desires.
Yeah, especially the 50% off the cartel unlocks. That's something that you should. I like to take advantage of that when I can because that allows you to unlock these items and make them available to all the characters on your account. So being able to do that at half price is a pretty good deal.
No, I agree. The collection unlocks are always great. So Nick, we got some news today from the SWTOR devs and then from BioWare. So first we're going to start off with the first section from the devs.
Mm-hmm.
And it says,
hey folks, I am super excited to let you know that we have another team member joining the SWTOR community team. Without any further delay, please give a warm welcome to,
and then it scrolls down and
to Jackie.
Is the quote. Yeah. And it's not Jackie Cow.
It's Jackie Ko, which is very tricky if you're just listening, but Cow is spelled C-A-O and this is Jackie C-K-O. And I believe it's right?
No, Jackie Cow is C-H-O.
Oh, you're
That's
right.
Jackie, like friend of the show, Jackie.
Right. This is Jackie.
Yep.
New SWTOR community member, Jackie Ko. Anyways, says, hello, everyone. I'm Jackie, and I'm incredibly excited to be here. Over the next few weeks, I'll be going through the forums, building an understanding of the community, and getting to know all of you. I'm very much looking forward to interacting with everyone and being a bridge between this community and the dev team. Building up and nurturing that relationship will remain a top priority for me. Fun fact, I love reading about community members' sentimental experiences that mean a lot to them. Tell me about some of the best moments you've experienced in the game or within the community. I'll be reading all of them. See you in the forums. Sincerely, Jackie.
The thing that is weird to me is that it says Jackie, community manager.
Yeah.
And Eric Musco is senior community manager, and Daniel Steed is community coordinator. So does that mean one of them are not here anymore? Does this mean Musco's leaving? Or is this just that they're planning for I'm doing my quotation marks, the big thing happening at 10-year anniversary that is going to
require more staff,
require more community staff?
It seems like this is an addition to the staff pool, not like a replacement.
I have no idea.
I don't know. That's sort of I like to be somewhat positive and optimistic about these things. So hopefully that's what this is. They're expanding. It just seems like an interesting area for them to expand at the moment. And, so I wonder what they're planning to do, if they're planning to do more Cantina type live streams like they just put together and maybe need help with that. I'm just not sure, given where things are, where they need the additional help for as far as managing forums and community stuff. Be interesting to see.
Okay, fuck this tinfoil hat. If we're gonna stay positive, I do agree with you. I think they're going to need a lot of community staff because, in my opinion, this game is launching at 10-year on a console. It's coming to PlayStation. It's coming to Xbox. They're upgrading the engine. This game is going. EA is backing this game because there's no other online Star Wars game that's coming in the near future. Even if they announce one today, we're not getting it for 3 or 4 years because when they announced SWTOR, they were still 3 or 4 years away from it. So my thought is EA is doubling down on this game, or maybe BioWare is leaving EA like Destiny left Activision. You know what I mean? And maybe Disney is saying, "We got your back, BioWare. We'll take over the game in 10-year anniversary," and it's going to be Disney's Star Wars The Old Republic. It becomes canon and Boomba, but they do need more community team, which is pretty cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I am positive about another community manager because this community manager is like her resume is pretty legit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's she's well known. She's worked for some big companies. I mean, this is what she does. So I think this is a positive thing. It'll suck if it comes to find out that like Musco's leaving or Dan Steed is leaving or something is like happening there to get her, because I really like those two. But at the same time, if you get somebody that's in the community manager position that has the resume she does, hopefully it benefits us as content creators in the content creator program or just with the community coming in. But then the same day we got news from BioWare.
Dun, dun, dun. BioWare news, a message from Chief Studios Officer of EA. Laura Mealy, I guess. So it says, "We strive for all of our studios to be places where talented, creative people come to do career-defining work. A dimension of this ambition is that sometimes those people want to try something different. Casey Hudson, GM of BioWare, and Mark Dara, executive producer of Dragon Age, are two of those people, and they have decided to move on from BioWare. I want to personally thank Casey and Mark for everything they have done for the BioWare community, and particularly for our players." You want me to read the rest of this or just chat about their leaving?
They will always be an essential part of the studio's history. We appreciate their many contributions, and we look forward to seeing what they each do next.
Yeah.
And then Mark and Casey talk a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
This one is hard for me to be positive on.
Yeah.
Because as Nick said in the pre-show, which you guys weren't here for, he said that they're working on a new Dragon Age game, and essentially the guy running the game is leaving.
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
That's odd. And the GM of BioWare, Casey Hudson, I mean,
that's not so weird because maybe she's got like has a job offer somewhere else or something, and just wants to change companies for career advancement stuff. That's not so strange, but I don't know. I feel like the lead for Dragon Age leaving is a little odd considering they're still making that game.
But leaving on the same day, or announcing it on the same day, like they're announcing a new community manager, and they're discussing two of like high level two executives leaving. Right. I don't know. It's just a weird day. Yeah. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, I think part of it, looking looking at it from the outside in, we sort of see, some of these jobs that these people have with these gaming companies as sort of being dream jobs, right? That, how could you, you're in this position, it seems like a coveted job. Why would you ever want to leave, right? It seems like you've sort of made it, and what other opportunities are out there? But you just never know with folks, and whether they get burned out or want to move on to something new. I think I saw a tweet from Casey Hudson who said he'd been there for like almost 20 years. That's a long time. So maybe he was just, looking for a fresh start. I don't know. We've seen other people leave. Who is it? The writer, Drew Karpyshyn worked for BioWare for a long time, wrote a lot of the stories. I mean, he left, and people sort of thought, oh, maybe this is the sky is falling a little bit there too. We've seen other writers from Star Wars: The Old Republic leave and go on to do other things within the Star Wars community, write Star Wars novels and things like that. So I don't know. I guess, people, maybe it's just the nature of the business, and people come and they go. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to not look at it as view it in a completely positive light, and not view it as sort of like a red flag, is there something going on that we should be concerned about here? And there was no mention of Star Wars: The Old Republic in their post. So is that good? Is that bad? Or maybe it means nothing. It's hard to say.
Right. I almost take it as like not necessarily a bad thing, but it's almost like that alert noise from Metal Gear Solid. With like the exclamation point goes over the enemy's head. Wing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It gives you like red flag warning.
Yeah. It's like you're not about to get attacked, but you could be. You know what I mean?
Right. I do understand, because if you look at like Blizzard and all these guys and girls that have been at these companies for a long time, like Casey Hudson, they're starting their own development studios.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So for all we know, Casey Hudson's starting his own company, or he's going to work for one of the companies that the Blizzard guys have started. You know what I mean?
Something like that. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's inevitable. The big companies always, I worked for a company for 6 years, and then it got to a point where it was time for me to have my own business, and I left, and now I have my own business.
Right.
So it is the evolution. I just think it's an odd day to announce two big names leaving, and at the same time you announce a new community manager to Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yeah. And I'm not saying that maybe SWTOR had no idea that they were announcing this today, because I know that if I was in the BioWare office for SWTOR, I would not have announced that we have a new community manager at the exact same time you're mentioning that BioWare's GM is leaving.
Right.
Because everybody's going to immediately think the sky is falling.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
But either way, I say peace out and good luck in your adventures, and hopefully you can get in your next studio, you will get the motion capture correct for your game. Moving on. In AIE news, we just had our Black Friday
Mega. That's the monthly Epic Guild activity.
So it was there was just a few of us. We actually had a lot of fun. We did some open world PvP, and we did, believe it or not, I have not done all of the flashpoints in the game.
What?
At least once, yeah. So I was looking at achievements at one point on my stream, and I'm like, what the hell is the Essalus? And everybody started laughing.
Yeah. Responses like everyone else.
Sorry,
like, what?
Yeah, go on. Please explain how you missed the Essalus.
No, so don't forget, I always played solo, right? And I never, when I did the stories at the top right in your quest map, it said go to, where do you go from Tython?
You go to the fleet?
Yes. And then where do you go?
Coruscant.
Okay, so in between there, I never, there was like the little triangle above the guy's head.
Yeah.
But no, nothing actually said go do this flashpoint. And if it did, I just ignored it and abandoned it and move on to my class story. So I never did the Essalus, and then there was another one. It was some war game.
The Colicoid War Games, that one?
Yes. Yep, I never did that one either. So we did those, and I've done all of the flashpoints. Now I'm going to go back and do them all on like the hardest mode.
Yeah.
But it was just funny to me because your reaction, Ted, of what? it is so funny because everybody has said that. Like, how did you not do the S-less? And because that's like the opposite side of Black Talon.
Yeah, and maybe something's changed in the game, and I don't remember. I mean, when I played, but I mean, I just sort of, I don't want to say it seemed obvious that I had an option to. I want to feel like maybe there was a breadcrumb or something when the game launched to lead you to that particular NPC who gave you the mission. He basically says, "Hey, you have two choices. You can go directly to Coruscant, basically, and take the shuttle, and same thing with going to Dromund Kaas, or you can do the Flashpoint. Now, you say the Black Talon is the Imperial side, and the Esselis is the one for the Republic, and they're very good flashpoints. Those two flashpoints were very well done, very well polished, strong story. They were like basically your first introduction to running flashpoints in the game, and so they were both quite good.
Yeah, it was really good. It's just 5 years late.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
You've done it now, but you can still do it, and you can. I guess I think they have a solo story mode now, so you can go and do it by yourself or with a group, and it's good. Did you get the guys out the airlock or?
Never a dark side choice. I'm not the only dark side choice that I would make, and I told everybody, if I had a chance to kill, because I've done first chapter of the Sorcerer, the guy that calls you slave 1,000 times. If I get a chance to kill that guy, and it's a dark side choice, that will be picked. And then Slavic, if it was a dark side choice to kill him, I dark side all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Darth Barris, Darth Barris is a douche.
Oh yeah,
I hate a douche.
Oh, he's
killing him.
I love that. That's what every time I play a Sith Warrior, I'm just always like with my conversation options with him. I just hit 3, 3, 3. The number 3. That's usually your little snarky, trolling
fuck you
comeback. Yeah, to him.
Always.
Right. So
I started off trying to be cordial, and then just picked all the 3s. After I'm like, dude, I'm the man. I'm stronger than you. I feel like halfway through, you're training under Barris. You're you could kick his ass.
Yeah.
And then he's still and obviously, spoilers for the Sith Warrior, he's training somebody else anyways. So it's yeah, I am stronger than you, and I'm gonna whoop you and your apprentice's ass.
Right.
It was very satisfying for me. Anyways.
Yep. And then so I want everybody to look for the holiday themed
Mega
this month. I'm thinking Friday, December 18th, because that's what I'm thinking right now. Or we might do it on a Saturday, but with holidays and everything coming, I'm thinking Friday the 18th might work, or maybe we'll combine it with a mandatory fun night and kind of get everybody together. Lastly, congratulations to Nikitas, friend of the show, for becoming the newest AIE community officer.
And if all this sounds fun to you, go to AIE-guild.org, jump in the Discord, and ask for a guild invite, whether or not you play Star Wars The Old Republic or any of the other games we play. And we mean any of the other games: Call of Duty Cold War, Final Fantasy 14,
Guild Wars 2,
Diablo
3, World of Warcraft, Star Wars The Old Republic, Destiny 2,
Lord of the Rings Online,
Animal Crossing,
and Pokemon,
Call of Duty. I mean, you name it, we play it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come say hi.
One of the largest, most organized gaming guilds ever.
Yeah.
Come on down.
And lastly, if you want to join the Working Class Nerds Discord, come find me at my Twitch stream or on Twitter or in the AIE Guild, and I'll make sure I get you in our Discord and listen to. It's mostly me bantering because Nick is terrible with Discord.
I can't figure out how to turn notifications back on, so I never see it.
Yeah, so I will really want Nick to get involved because some of the shit is ridiculous.
I'm trying. And
I'm sorry, lastly, I laughed so hard today because this is what I woke up to, because last night is when I cleared those 2 nightmare fights, and I was so excited. Shit. Where is it? I'm sorry.
Stalling?
No, I'm not stalling.
So you think I'm stalling?
So you think? Oh no, it's under picks and bets.
I think that's from Zootopia. So you think I'm stalling? What does that mean, really? Stalling.
Oh, okay. So So I did it, and I thanked Dash Zombie for watching the stream. And Medulla says, "Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Who would have thought 2 years ago that Captain Marauder stands in circles would become a nightmare tank?" And Dash says, well, Marcus stood in circles? He used to actively seek them out, stood in circles that the rest of us didn't even know existed. And I just, like, literally, I pissed my pants laughing so hard. So thanks, Medulla. You made me laugh.
That's fantastic.
Nick, do you got to go to the bathroom?
I super duper do, because of this stupid monster you gave me. So we'll be right back.
Geez, Nick, hurry up. We're trying to finish this podcast.
And we're back. So today we're discussing the new season of The Mandalorian, because I kind of forgot to talk about it in previous episodes. So we're going to talk about all 5 of the episodes that have released. We're going to talk about what we like so far, our crazy conspiracy theories, and just all the things that we want to talk about regarding the show.
All right, first question.
Okay.
Do you call it episode 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or do you call it season 2, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I call it season 2, episode whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ted?
Yeah, I'm same thing. I use season 2, episode 1, 2. I haven't really been referring to them as, what are they? I don't even know if they call them like
they call them like chapter something.
Chapters 9,
that's how
10. So I have not been referring to them as chapter 10, 11, 12, whatever we're up to.
Oh, see, that's the way I do it, because that's what's on the screen, so it's so easier. So when people are like, "Oh, did you see season 2, episode 5?" and you're like, "What number is that?" They're like 13, stupid. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that one's good."
Yeah,
that
so
one's
if you
good.
say
Like, I
you've
can't
seen
keep
chapter
up.
11. I have to do math in my head now to figure out which
Like 8
to
plus
translate it to
4 is
Yeah. Oh, that's 12. So minus 1. Oh, okay. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking episode 3,
Right.
Yeah.
You know. So I use my number skills at work all day. I can't do it. Anyways, so I guess I'll narrate this a little bit. So we left season 1 with Mando and Yoda Baby.
Yep.
Because this is pre-name.
Yep.
Yoda Baby, and he's been given his new Creed job is find out where.
Hey, you got to find the Jedi.
Yeah, you got to find you got to find his species and his kind, and like.
No, the Jedi.
No, I interpreted that too. I think his kind wasn't necessarily a species, but it was the Jedi, that because he had force powers. That's what I think the armor smith, whatever she was called, viewed as his kind.
I concur. Force users of some kind.
And I took it completely different.
Yeah.
Which is fine. So we were left with that. Mando pissed off some people. He did some good. You know, it was pretty cool. So immediately we get into this new season, and what a way to start off. We end up on Tatooine.
And I love, so I'm a big, sorry, I mean to cut you off.
No, I was done.
I'm a big Western fan, and I've said this anytime we talk about The Mandalorian. I really like Westerns anyway. So then that first episode when he's like, you can hear like the spurs clinking almost, like when he's riding the speeder bike through that first town, and all all the locals are just like on the porch staring at him like, who the fuck is this new guy? You know what I mean? And then you've got like, this town ain't big enough for the 2 of us in Mandalorian armor. And it's like the face off. And then of course the Great Dragon rolls through. And I've got like, when I first heard the rumbling, I was like, is this fucking Tremors? Like the sci-fi movie with the underground worms and stuff? Because I think that has a Western setting too.
Wait, but and I've let this go because I was putting on my coat because it's chilly in the shop.
Yeah.
How can you just buzz over the fact that it was Boba Fett's armor?
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, you completely skipped over that. Like,
that was my next bullet point.
No, that's the worst description ever. Mando goes to a town looking for a Mandalorian, and whose armor is it? It's Boba fucking Fett.
That's true.
Okay?
I did notice, I was like, oh. So when I first see it's the Marshal or whatever I don't know his real name. I forgot.
Yeah, Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth, thank you. When Cobb first walks into the doorway, I'm like, I don't like this version of Boba Fett. It's like he's like too skinny and like I feel like his armor's like I get it's supposed to be disheveled because like he was in a Sarlacc pit, but like it just looks weird. And then I was really thankful that it wasn't Boba Fett. Like when he was like, oh yeah, I'm Cobb Vanth, I'm the Marshal around here, blah blah blah. And then I immediately thought, oh, then if he has Boba Fett's armor, then Boba Fett's definitely dead.
Yeah. So this is one of the things I like about The Mandalorian. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about it. So, of course, I haven't read the Aftermath series of books, but this was, Cobb Vanth was referenced in an interlude in one of those books, and it talked about how he got Boba Fett's armor. So, people that I guess have read those books probably would have assumed that that's who this was all along. Yeah. So, like I said, and I'm always feeling like every time I watch an episode, I've got to go to YouTube or Wikipedia and do a whole bunch of research to find out what the heck did I just watch here, because they seem to be doing some deep cuts into some of the other novels and stuff, that are out there. So so Cobb Vanth wasn't a brand new character. Like I said, he was in one of these interludes in the Aftermath series, and it talks about how, and he's the marshal of this town wearing Boba Fett's armor, and I think it sort of talked a little about what they confirmed in this episode about how he got the armor. So they just kind of took that bit of story and ran with it and sort of confirmed it, I guess.
What I liked about Cobb is he was like positive from the beginning, right? He came in and Mando was just straight up, where'd you get the armor? It was no business except give me the armor, I'm going to take it from you.
Yeah.
And Cobb was like, chill, bro.
Like, let's have a drink.
Let's have a drink, dude. Like, let's chill.
It's all good in the hood.
Right. And I didn't realize that they mentioned him in the Aftermath books, because I listened to all the Aftermath series on Audible, but I guess it was such a small part that I don't remember it. Or I was dozing off or cutting wood or something while I was listening to it. I was like half listening to it. But I did like that Cobb was his self-proclaimed like marshal of that area. And it was kind of cool to hear that, like, the only reason why that town has been safe was because of Boba Fett's weaponry.
Right. Which is cool.
Yeah, that's wicked sweet. Like, nobody was messing with him because he had the Mandalorian armor.
Right. That is cool.
Now, the crate dragon, I mean, how cool is that?
That was wicked cool.
I mean, just the fact that so the first season was the introduction to the Mando character, Yoda baby, and
like the world, basically.
In the world, right? They're setting the stage. And what they've done now, I feel in season 2, like season 2 is all about the lore for me. And they, bringing out the crate dragon, I mean, they're giving the hardcore Star Wars fans that have been starving for real lore Star Wars, that we're getting it this season. A friend of mine, he isn't a big Star Wars fan. Like, he watches The Mandalorian, he's watched the movies, but he's not like us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
like my dad's a good example.
Right. And he's like, this season isn't as good as the first. I'm like, what?
This is way better.
This is better. And he goes, yeah, but I don't understand. Like, to me, the monster coming out of the sand isn't a big deal. I was like, the crate dragon. He goes, and he had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, my wife is the same way. I mean, she loves this show. She's enjoying it, but she's not enjoying like this season as much as I am, because she's not as familiar with these little things. And there's some things that I'm not fully in tune with, but I'm in tune with enough of it to kind of geek out with these little references and things like that. Like you say, I like the crate dragon. That was like, oh, we finally get to see one. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't a crate dragon is from the original Knights of the Old Republic, right?
Correct.
That was like one of the quests you had to get the pearl from it. I knew of that, but I didn't play all the way through KOTOR, I don't think.
Yeah, and they were also in, if you remember the original Star Wars MMO, Star Wars Galaxies and Empire Divided, they had Tatooine was one of the planets featured in that game, and they had crate dragons there. That was a big deal too. That was a thing you used to do, get a group together and go crate dragon hunting for the pearls, which were kind of valuable and you could use to help craft some armor and things like that. And so I remember those.
And he's back.
Of hunting.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. So you cut out since you started to talk. Yeah.
You said, if you remember ... What was the timestamp for that? I can edit this later.
1:17:31.
Okay. So what were you saying, Ted?
So I was saying, I remember the MMO, the Star Wars Galaxies and Empire Divided, and Tatooine was one of the planets featured in that game, and they had crate dragons there. And I remember you used to get a group of people together and go hunt crate dragons because you wanted to hopefully loot their pearls because they were valuable and you could use them to craft armor and so forth. So I mean, I remember crate dragons from that game as well as KOTOR.
Yeah, it's so we're getting all of that lore, which is awesome.
I definitely enjoyed that a lot. I like all the callbacks. I freaked out at some of them that we'll talk about in a second.
And then at the end of the first episode, you got Boba Fett right at the end.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious of is, was that just like a teaser to say, hey, okay, yeah, alive. Like he is alive. Okay, move on. Or is he going to show up in a later episode,
right,
saying, "Where's my armor, dude?"
Right. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but has Mando been to Tatooine before?
Yes.
Last season, right?
He did go visit it in season 1.
Okay. And is that the same one? That's where he was when like that other crappy bounty hunter like tried to team up with him and then turn against him?
Yes, that was that episode. And I remember whoever they were going after, she was killed, and that's when you had this mysterious figure, which we
walk up to her,
thought might be Boba Fett. We don't really know, but probably wasn't now, I guess, at this point. Not sure who that was. That's sort of one of these still dangling threads that hasn't been sorted out.
Okay. So that could have been Boba Fett, though. Although it sounded like, I remember like a big deal was the sort of spurs on the boots.
Yeah.
Like cue that, makes you think of it was the Mandalorian or like a Mandalorian. But if he doesn't have armor, then maybe that's not the case. But I think it's just a sort of a motif more than anything to clue you in that this is some kind of Mandalorian.
Yes.
But so I guess maybe I don't mind Boba Fett being like a shadowy figure in the background doesn't actually play a central role, but he's just sort of there. Like that's not a terrible way to do that, especially if you don't want to have to flesh out a full character and like I'd rather him sort of just be in the background like that than they shoehorn him into a story where he wouldn't ultimately like do anything organically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd like to see him come back. Maybe I don't think we'll see more of him this season, but maybe they'll do something with him in season 3. I'd like to see him kind of have a role in all of this. But I think obviously the big concern, especially if he had introduced him in season 1, was that he might upstage the Mandalorian, since Boba Fett is such a big figure, because I remember when they mentioned the Mandalorian, I was like, well, why don't they just do a Boba Fett series? Why do they have to invent a brand new character?
Right. That's a good point. So yeah, maybe we'll see him in season 3, but I think the point I guess I was making was like, I don't see how he would fit into this season's storyline with the 3 episodes we have left. Like it wouldn't flow properly, if that makes sense. But let's see. Then the episode 2, we had the ice cave incident with the crazy spiders, which that episode was like fine.
It's the frog people.
Yeah, the frog people. What, Marcus? What do you think about the frog people?
No, I want to hear what Ted has to say.
No, here's my problem with that second episode. One, it was way too short, right? It was like barely over half an hour. The first episode was like an hour long, and then this episode was about a half an hour, and it was basically just like an interlude, right? It wasn't that integral to the whole story. I felt like they could have combined this 2 and 3 and made that one episode in that. So I feel like we kind of I got ripped off here. Like I needed more Mandalorian than what I got. But other than that, I thought the episode was okay. It was kind of neat to see that spider creature, which was, a callback to some concept art that Ralph McQuarrie had done for The Empire Strikes Back. It was a creature they had considered that Luke might encounter on Dagobah. So that was kind of cool.
That is
for sure.
You're right, because he dealt with the rebels in those 2 episodes.
Right. Yeah, it almost seemed like that was cut into 2 episodes. It was originally 1. It's like, hey, this is too long. Let's just restructure it and make it 2.
Well, I think that is exactly what happened, because if you combined them both, they would have been an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. No, an hour and 40 minutes, something like that.
No, they were both short. It was like a half hour and a half
42 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 42 minutes, I think, for the other one.
Okay, my opinion is they did a great job with the frog people showing emotion and getting you to like those characters.
Yeah.
And
as like a sort of a plot device to like motivate Mando to go somewhere, or like have to protect somebody.
Yes. And what I really liked is that Yoda baby, because we still don't know his name, ate the eggs because he's a savage. And I loved that the internet went bananas about it. Like they're like, he's eating baby eggs. And no, they must have said it like 50 times that they're non-fertilized. Like he's just a baby that's hungry. Eggs. Like how much food is Mandalorian Mando man feeding him? Like he's clearly hungry. Like
feed the kid.
Yeah, like if I saw a big jar of eggs, I'd want to cook them too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, I think that episode, it was good. But at the same time, I think it was more of they wanted to get the rebellion involved and like tie into the New Republic, because I think it was awesome how in the beginning he ran from the rebels or the New Republic, and then they found out who he was and how he saved that rebel like jail ship.
Right. And no, he raided it, but then he did something where he saved.
Well, no,
he saved somebody on it.
Yeah, he saved somebody on it,
right.
And they were like, "He's like, am I under arrest?" And they're like, "You
should
be, but you saved our boy, so get the hell out of here." And he's like, "You're gonna help me fix my ship?" And they laughed at him and flew away.
Yeah,
which was great.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and then something that I noticed about the pilots, they were shooting, it looked to me like the E-11 blasters from
from the Stormtroopers?
Yeah. One of them looked like he had an E-11.
Oh, I didn't pay that close attention. I wish I had now.
And then one was one of the sniper rifles from Battlefront 2.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what weapons they were. I think they've been identified, though. I probably could go look those up.
Right.
One of those pilots was Dave Filoni, by the way. I don't know if you.
I didn't notice.
I did not notice that, but now I remember. Yeah,
I saw a funny meme that said Jon Favreau is in the hospital for a broken back, and I was like, oh my god, and it said, I guess the broken back was caused by carrying the entire Star Wars franchise on his back for so long, and I was just started laughing, and I sent it to Nick, and he's like, I knew this was going there, and it's so true. But I'm actually going to tip my cap to Nick on this because he said it a while ago, and this is before Mando came out.
Yeah.
He was like, TV shows are a way better way to tell a story than a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, because they can make a mistake in one episode and redeem themselves in the next.
Yeah, and it's completely fine.
And I'm curious to see if we get a actual Star Wars movie now.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be, years down the road once the High Republic like works itself out.
Yeah.
Because it's, the TV shows are working.
They're great. Even Rebels is good.
Well, all the shows.
Yeah.
Where I feel like when you're throwing a movie on a screen for 2.5 hours, like if they did Mando season 1 in 2 hours,
it wouldn't be the same.
You would have got, I have spoken. Yoda baby, season over. Oh, Darksaber, it's over.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have gone into the depth that it did, and you wouldn't have felt what you did. But this also, what I love about, I'm happy. Disney is proving to be a family company in the sense of binge TV shows are over. In my opinion, like Stranger Things or any big show that comes out should go episodic.
Yeah, it keeps you...
Well, it keeps you talking about it.
Yeah, and also, like, from a straight-up money perspective, keeps you subscribed to their streaming site for longer.
Well, it does, right? You do stay subscribed, although you could just wait until all the episodes are released if you want to be patient and then binge watch it. But I like doing this episodic one a week, too. And it gives you a chance to...
Have you both ever watched Stranger Things?
Yes.
I have not.
I didn't watch the third season, but...
You did? You have not, Ted?
No, I've heard good things about Stranger Things, but I've not.
It's really, really good. But Nick, what I was going to say is, what happened season 1, episode 3? I have no idea because you binged through it and got to the final.
Exactly right.
Final episode. Yeah. Where this, with the episodic, like we're talking about episode chapter 13, and we're we're deep diving into it,
Yeah.
where it's just not another episode to get us to the end.
Right.
And I've only watched these once. Like I've not gone back and really rewatched any of it, much to my surprise. But and we're able to talk about it. That's how much we like it, right? So we're able to just see it one time and then
delve into all the details. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
episode 2 of season 2.
No,
do you want to move on to 3?
Well, no. I was going to say is, and then we got somebody from Rebels.
Yep. Oh, this is completely spoiler town, by the way.
Shit.
Of course. Well, whatever.
Whatever.
They knew that.
If we're talking about
the whole
Mandalorian,
season, so it's fine.
Bo-Katan.
That was so cool. Wait, one last thing about episode 2. I liked how all the eggs for the spiders were like the eggs from Alien.
Yeah.
And they had the pod. That was a cool little reference. I thought it was gonna jump out and attack Baby Yoda at that point.
Yoda baby.
Whatever. You can't even say Grogu properly, okay? You say Ragu or you thought it was with an R.
We didn't get to his name yet.
Whatever.
It's not okay. You're rushing.
Back at the ranch.
Anyways, so
episode 3 we get Bo-Katan.
Yeah, so it's Mando is looking for Mandos.
Yep.
Delivers the frog people to the frog people, and they're gonna make frog babies.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I enjoy about this is people see the Beskar.
Mm-hmm.
And they just want the armor. They don't give a shit what they have to do. They just want the armor because it's so valuable.
Right.
You would think like Mando would just paint it by now.
I know.
So like people aren't like, is that Beskar? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Paint it black or something, or
I would paint it black
or pink. Cool. Just like incognito.
Right.
Like he's drawing attention to himself. And now he's going to be carrying around a Beskar staff.
Tink.
Yeah.
Tink off the ground.
Anyway.
Tink.
My favorite part of the water episode, believe it or not, was when the fish people, because they're not Mon Calamari.
No, they're the other ones.
The Quarren, yeah.
Yes.
Quarren, thank you, yeah.
So the Quarren throw them in that pit.
Yeah.
And the baby in Yoda baby into the mouth.
The mama core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the mama core. And I was like, and they're like all they were saying is, we want the Beskar.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa. And then the Mandos show up and you were like,
ass.
yes.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And now you're starting to see that it's all like coming together. And now you find out that
there's 2 different factions.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You get the Death Watch faction and then the I don't know what you would call Bo-Katan's faction, but just like the populace sort of Mandalorians. Is a sort of a crude way to say it, but I think of it as like the Orthodox Jewish folks versus like the sort of standard issue Jewish folks.
Hasidic Jews.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
It does.
Like the super mega
like
ultra,
they're still the same religion.
It's just
but they're different variations or Catholics and Protestants.
Yeah.
Right. Different.
It's in the same family.
Religion. Right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I thought it was awesome that he's found a way to bring the Mandos to him now.
Yeah. And like get tied in. And I thought it was a really cool detail that the same actress that did the voice of Bo-Katan in Clone Wars played her on the screen, which was cool.
I didn't know that.
Yep, that's the same actress, voice actress and actual screen actress, which was pretty sweet. But also that ties in where the Darksaber came, ties in.
Because at this point, Mando thinks they all think that
Moff Gideon has the Darksaber still.
Correct. Oh no, they didn't know that Gideon was alive on that ship yet.
No.
He finds that out in the next episode when they raid that medical building.
Correct. Well,
what was on that ship? Do you guys remember?
It was a bunch of weapons that they wanted for rebellion, I think.
Yeah, I think it was just like they were just, like you said, carrying weapons or something. I don't think it was anything that special.
Right. Oh, did she say it was like Mandalorian, something from Mandalore, like something kind of Beskar related or something? Not directly, but
I just think it was weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what I liked is that's when she said, I know where there's a Jedi, tell her Bo-Katan. Oh, well, no. Her name is Ahsoka Tano, and tell her Bo-Katan sent you.
Right.
And right there, everybody in the entire world watching the show at that moment jumped out of their seat and was like, Fuck yeah.
Ahsoka, let's go.
I don't know. That's how I felt.
Yeah, me too. Well, I knew from like casting leaks that Rosario Dawson was going to play Ahsoka.
Yeah, here, like if I hadn't heard like, you know, that, you know, the rumors and things that, you know, she was going to be in here, I probably would have jumped out of my seat a little higher than I did. But it was still cool nonetheless to get that name drop right then and there and know that you're probably going to see her very soon.
Right. I also like that this sort of tied another faction of the show sort of to Moff Gideon. So it's not just like the Mando with Moff Gideon trying to get the child from him. Now Bo-Katan and her sort of clan, if you will, like wants to get the Darksaber back. So she's going to be involved in that fight eventually too, which is pretty sweet.
It's like when we're going to get there, though. I mean, we've got like 3 episodes left, and it's just, and I love that they go into depth like this, and that it's moving at this pace. And if there were like 16 episodes in a season, you'd say, all right, this is great. But with 3 left, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're just gonna be
a lot's going to happen.
Be major cliffhangers. I mean, we're 3 episodes in, right? I mean, I think, did Moff Gideon make an appearance in episode 3? I think he did, but it just seemed awfully late to.
He did, yeah.
See him appear for the very first time this season, and not for very long.
Right. So I actually really enjoyed that scene as well, because you get, I really enjoy like the sort of views into different cultures, if you will. So like in that scene where you see Moff Gideon talk let me backtrack and explain the scene. It's the sort of the captain of the ship and the 2 pilots, right? In the cockpit, and he radios Moff Gideon for help. Like, look, we're taking over. We really need backup. And Moff Gideon's like, yeah, you guys are screwed anyway. Long live the Empire. You know what to do. And the Imperial officer is just like stoic, like saving face the whole time, kills the 2 pilots and like tries to crash the ship so that like make sure the, you know, Mandalorians can't get those weapons. But it was just a cool sort of view into that Imperial culture, you know, which is obviously contrasted with all the other characters. I thought that was really interesting. What did you take of that scene, Ted?
Yeah, no, I thought that was very cool. That was the any sort of the level of loyalty that these people still have to the Empire. That, you know, they were going to carry out those orders and sort of scuttle the ship, if you will.
Right.
I enjoyed it. It makes you feel like that old feeling you had watching the old Empire. You know what I mean? Like that anger and like they're really out for themselves and don't care about anything else.
Yep.
So for me, that makes a big difference.
Right.
The other thing too is it just connects more dots for Mando, because if you think about all the friends he has, he's almost building his own friend army.
Right.
With all the people that he's helping and saving and stuff. And then, you know, and then we get the episode where his ship is messed up.
Yeah.
It's literally held together with string after episode 3, I think.
Yeah, his ship, I mean, is in worse shape than the Millennium Falcon.
By a lot.
Yeah. And so he goes and sees his homies
on
what's the name of that planet?
It starts with an N.
Navarro, is that what it was?
Navarro.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Navarro.
And so, immediately as soon as he lands, of course, because it's what I do, I noticed right away that one weird worker guy looked back like that shady look. I was like, okay, they're planting a tracker on him. I called it right away.
Yeah, that was
because I was like, okay, so this is how the season ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to track them to wherever they're going to go, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't see that episode going where it did. It was kind of a really good surprise for me, how they were like, hey, we got to take down this Imperial base. And, you know, they do it. And then they find out it's like a research laboratory.
Right. Which I didn't see. That was a complete surprise to me.
Me too.
And I thought that little transmission, the hologram of, I forgot the scientist's name, Doctor something, but he's like, talking about the child, and like they're infusing the child's blood with
Death Troopers,
with humans to like make a superhuman.
Yeah.
A bunch of Captain Americas.
And it wasn't working, obviously.
Well, no, I don't know if he said it wasn't working. He was saying that they can't continue to do it because they have no more of the...
No, they said it wasn't working. Everyone keeps dying.
Oh.
And then also we can't keep trying because we're out of blood.
So we need to find somebody else.
Yeah, someone else would need to get the child again or something like that to extract more blood, which is interesting. But I thought it was cool that like he was like referenced M count, like in reference to Mandalorian.
I like that reference too. Very subtle, maybe not so subtle, but yeah, calling it an M count without actually saying the word that shall not be uttered, I guess.
Right.
Which is so crazy to me because when the prequels came out, everybody hated them, and now everybody loves them.
Right?
Yeah, I think for me, I came around on the Midichlorians when I read the Darth Plagueis book, which I know is not technically canon, but it's like, I don't know, Darth Plagueis is referenced in the prequel, so it's like kind of canon, kind of not, you know? And I think that book does a good job of explaining them as like a tool for Plagueis to manipulate, you know? I don't think it's necessarily such a bad thing. It's almost like your cellular conduit for the Force. And if you have more of those, like you can channel more of the Force like more easily.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, I don't know, your car can still go 100 miles an hour if you have a crappy engine, but if you have a better engine or more midichlorians, you can get there faster.
Sure. But I enjoyed that episode of them raiding that Imperial base because you saw a lot of stormtroopers, and it gave you like that base really made you feel like the Empire is alive.
Right.
And it makes you also think, like, how long has that base been there?
Right.
You know, and how far was the reach of the real Empire? You know what I mean?
They were just everywhere.
Everywhere. Can you imagine living in that world? And I know I can't imagine that, but like living under that tyranny, that level of tyranny, I guess I should say.
Yeah. That is crazy.
All right. Anybody else want to talk anything about that episode?
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, isn't that the episode where we get the end of it? You get a glimpse of Moff Gideon in like kind of Vader-esque armor, first of all, which I know it's just armor, but I thought that was a cool design. And then also like these black colored troopers of some kind.
Those are Death Troopers.
Yeah, the Dark Troopers. Yeah.
I don't know if they were Death Troopers though, because Death Troopers we've seen, and the people are speculating they're either Dark Troopers or like droid hybrids or something from some EU thing I hadn't heard of before. Do you guys know anything about that?
Well, I've heard references that people speculate that they're Dark Troopers, which is really another deep cut. They were first introduced, I think, in the video game Dark Forces, which, I mean, you have to go back to like PC computers running Windows 3.1 or 3. You're talking 1993, 1994 era when that game came out. So that's if that's indeed what they are, I mean, they're really going deep into the kind of the archives to bring Star Wars content to life here.
Right. So. Ted, what do you know about Dark Troopers in that sense? Do you know, like, are they actual stormtroopers that are better, or
they were droids? I think they weren't actual people. I think they were actually kind of like a kind of battle droid is
right.
What they were.
That's what I had read about also, is that it was like a battle droid, a super crazy battle droid. And or I guess I saw that there's like two different sources of Dark Troopers. One was like they were super battle droids, basically. And the other one was like they were originally stormtroopers, but then they had cybernetic augments. So they're essentially droids now. Which either way is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And we're going to see some like crazy fighting if they're in this season. So
yeah,
that's sweet. All right. Want to move on to the episode with all of the content, all of the fan service and callbacks jammed into one? I think I do. So episode 5 of season 2, or chapter 13 for Marcus, starts with this foggy planet, and the first thing you see.
Ted, when you first saw that planet, tell me it didn't make you think of Zyos, like just grayed out.
Yeah, Zyos grayed out. I also thought about that first planet that we saw in, I don't know what it was called, The Rise of Skywalker, where Kylo Ren was there going through that.
That's Mustafar.
Was he on Mustafar getting that first holocron?
Yeah, the first scene. Yeah, the first scene with Kylo Ren and Rise of Skywalker. That's Mustafar.
Oh, was it? Okay, so yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that, although I didn't think it was Mustafar. But yeah, Zyos is another place. I don't know if that's
like completely dead planet. It just reminded me of like just a dead planet.
Yeah,
like all the essence was taken and it's just gray.
Yeah, I did sort of find it funny because when Bo-Katan mentioned that you could find Ahsoka on whatever the name of the planet was, that it was a forest planet, and that didn't look like much of a green lush forest planet, did it?
Right.
Yeah, you find out the mayor. I forgot what the title of the lady is, but they basically sapped it all the resources out of that planet.
Yeah,
which obviously it's essentially a dead planet, just like Zyos. But so first thing you see is Ahsoka Tano's lightsabers coming out of the fog, and they're just fucking up a bunch of troopers. I thought that was cool.
I got goosebumps.
I did too.
I think it's because Ahsoka meant so much to all of us. Like when they created the Clone Wars, I never thought I don't think they thought people were going to love Ahsoka as much as they did.
Yeah.
And they had to figure out a way to make her survive because if she couldn't die in the Clone Wars.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people cared so much and and they already did the movies and how do you make that work?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's just alive somewhere else and she's not a Jedi, but she is a Jedi. So, and then they get to the wall and she comes up and she calls out this lady and this lady's got her staff and, I
don't think anything of the staff at that point.
No. I didn't think anything of it. I'm just like, okay, that's her weapon.
Yeah.
And I thought she was going to try to throw it at her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what surprised me in that was she was like instantly, hey, I have a question for you and you're going to answer it. And I'm like, a question? You just killed all those soldiers to just say, I've got a question to ask you.
Yeah.
Let's move on here.
Yeah. I like this adult, super badass Ahsoka. I mean, from the Clone Wars, you see her, she's essentially like a teenager.
Yeah. Snips.
And you see her, as a kid and then into a teenager. And then you see her in Rebels, but I haven't finished Rebels. So maybe you see more of her, but I've seen her through, I don't know, some substantial things, and she's still fairly lighthearted even as an adult. So to see a more directly badass and assassin like Ahsoka was really cool. She's almost jaded and burnt out of having to deal with bad people.
Yeah,
which I thought was
dark side per se, but
right,
definitely a warrior in some respects. It felt like with her.
Yeah. Not sort of definitely away from the super light Jedi Ahsoka you see in Clone Wars, but I thought the shot of her cutting through the trooper and the bell when she hops up on top was wicked cool. I think that's actually later, but
yeah, that is later.
Sorry, I'll go back.
Okay, so now they cut out, and now Mando comes in. Yoda baby is sitting on the console, not in a seat. And he's like, look we're coming up on the planet. Go sit down. So he does. And then he wanted the little
the ball
yeah, the metal ball. And Mando's like, no, dude, I need it. Stop being a child and just sit there and shut up. And then Yoda baby was straight up fuck you. Force loosened that shit up. And then what I like too is that they didn't show it come off.
Yeah.
They showed it unscrew and then it just moved on, which is okay, we know what he's doing. And then they fast forwarded where if they gave us that extra 3 minutes, we would have been okay, we know what he's doing.
Yeah. We know he has the Force. We know
right.
He's mischievous. We don't need to spend all that
time.
time.
And the next scene is him walking off the ship with it in his hand.
Yeah.
What I didn't quite understand about that scene though is because he told him to go back and sit down in the seat, but I don't think he belted in or strapped in or anything like that. So I didn't really understand what was the difference with him sitting in that seat versus sitting where he was. I didn't really, and I understand why they wanted to do it so he could sneak the little ball thing. But from a practical sense, if he wasn't going to be belted or strapped into the seat, why was the point of him moving? It didn't make any sense to me.
It's a great point.
It's a good point, but this is also a reason why episodic episodes are awesome, because if this was a binge worthy, we wouldn't even remember this part.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it makes you feel for them more because of it.
Yes.
I just was wondering why he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He's a little kid. Don't you want him to be safe?
Don't you have a car seat for this guy?
He's a bad dad.
You have
worst
his
dad ever.
He's not a great dad. He's trying, I guess, but he's not necessarily cut out.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, he lost the car seat. The car seat got crushed up by the mama core, and he just never replaced it.
Right. And so Mando lands on the planet and he's like, all right, let's go to the city. They go to the wall and he's like, I've got business here. And they open up the gates. And then he immediately tries to talk to like shop people and they like run away from him. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What's going on here? And then he finds somebody that's going to be significant later.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we're not allowed to talk to you. Just go away. And right away, the security guards are like, hey, the magistrate, they should have just said the mayor wants to talk to you.
Yeah, magistrate. What? Yeah.
But here's the thing is where I really woke up to how bad the planet was. When he walked through the gate of like,
magistrate.
Like the palace.
Yeah.
It was like beautiful. Like all of a sudden the sun was out.
Right.
It was like a complete different world. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then you found out that the staff was Beskar.
Right.
And you're like, all right, so that's how he's going to fight Moff Gideon.
With the Beskar staff.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to happen.
Right.
Now he can
Darksaber versus Beskar staff.
Yep. So now he can protect himself against
the Darksaber.
Yeah, the Gideon.
So that was cool. I like how he like pretended to make the deal or like to kill Ahsoka so that he could like get her location.
Right.
I thought he handled that pretty well. Sometimes I feel like he's a little sort of not blunt, but like overly straightforward with his intentions. It was cool to see him like play a little bit of politics.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, yep. I'm in the guild, or like last time I checked, I'm in the Bounty Hunters Guild, but really like, I'm pretty sure he kind of defected from them when he killed a bunch of them to save the child, So he's like bending the rules through that whole interaction, which I thought was cool. It shows a little character progression.
Also, what did you guys think of the female magistrate? Like in the beginning, did you feel like she was going to be as significant as she was, or did you just feel like it was another fetch quest?
It felt a little fetch questy at first. It ended up turning not that much, but not into that. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, I didn't think she was going to be that important or have anything significant in terms of information or anything else to kind of contribute to the story. But, so she ended up being a little more important than I expected her to be. Certainly. So yeah, I didn't think too much of her when I first saw her.
Also too, and then something else and then you get Mando goes out to find the Jedi, which is Ahsoka. And then I think the tie-in of how awesome Beskar is,
yes,
because Ahsoka was no talk, all action. Like Mandalorian, oh shit, I gotta fight right away.
Yeah.
And the Beskar stopping the lightsaber, I was like, okay, now this is all making sense.
Right.
So this was the episode to show that Mando can beat Gideon in the Darksaber.
Right.
And she stops dead as soon as he says Bo-Katan sent me. And then she's like, I hope it's about him. And with that full sass.
Yeah.
And she sees little Yoda baby. And I was like, oh shit.
This is Ahsoka.
Yeah, this is we're going to find something is going to happen with Yoda baby where we're going to find out who Yoda baby is.
Right.
And then she goes into like this like forced trance with Yoda baby. And what I loved is there's like dad in the background pacing, like what's going on up there? What's going on? Like, when are you guys going to come back?
It's like
what's
the kid's first day at school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then she drops the hammer.
Right.
Yeah.
Grogu.
Grogu.
Grogu. I even wrote it in the notes for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grogu. What did you guys think when you heard the name?
I was fine with it. I wasn't necessarily expecting to get a name, so that was kind of surprising. The fact that it was this one-word name. I mean, I wasn't in love with it at first, but I kind of got used to the more they said it, the more they referred to him as it. I liked how, the Mandalorian was trying to figure out, just get used to having him a name, and he would just say Grogu, and Grogu would turn his head as in recognition of his name.
Right.
I thought that was kind of cute and fun.
I agree. I like that he has a name. I didn't love specifically Grogu, but I don't really care. Like, he's an alien.
Yeah.
They're going to have funky names anyway.
I was super excited because now I don't have to listen to people tell me it's Yoda baby or it's baby Yoda or this
The
or
child.
that. The child.
Mhm.
Now he has a name. It's real, and we can move on. And now that I know his name, now I hope we never find out what species it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because now we have a name. Like, let that species be just a mystery forever.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Don't come up with something because, in my opinion, if they say it's a Chukalaka species, people are just going to be irate. Oh, no way. It should be called this.
Yeah.
Just let it always be a mystery of that species.
Right.
I just felt as this was the connection episode to Yoda, to Grogu,
Mhm.
where now you feel for Grogu because now you know his name, you know he's been in pain.
You know his backstory where
Like,
he was
yeah.
on the Jedi Temple when
But-
Anakin raided it.
Okay, so that's the other thing is Grogu was tiny.
Yeah.
He could barely do stuff, and all of a sudden he was like, masters have trained him. The Clone Wars was 20-something years ago, so he was like 30.
No, so I did some, well, on Reddit, people did math. So apparently when Anakin dies in the second Death Star as Vader, he's 45 years old there.
Mhm.
So, and apparently, so they did other math where he was 19 years old when he raided the Jedi Temple, or Academy, I guess.
Okay.
So at 45 years old, when the second Death Star blew up, the Mandalorian takes place 5 years after that, which puts Anakin he would have been 50 years old,
Mhm.
and Grogu is also 50 years old. So he's the exact same age as Anakin.
Ah, that makes
So
sense.
Grogu would have been 19 years old when the temple got raided.
Could he even walk at that point?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't like how does that work?
Exactly. Was he Yoda and Yaddle's baby?
Brown chicken, wow, wow.
That's a big question. It's a legitimate question, right?
Well, that's the only thing I can think of.
I just think of like dirty phrases in Yoda's voice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to do that invitation on the show.
But now I feel even more connected to Grogu.
Yeah.
Because I know his name and I know, like, when you find out somebody was like, okay, he was training as a Jedi, and then, during the purge, he was taken by somebody, nobody knows who, and then it gets dark.
Yeah, like he
And,
had
like,
to
you're like,
suppress
oh,
all of his memories.
Right, like, what?
Yeah. And he's had to suppress all of his force powers, which kind of makes sense why he's like so hesitant to use them now, right? Because he's like, it's painful for him to remember all that time. And he's been repressing them for 30 years,
Right, and then you get Ahsoka trying to train him with the ball, the rock, I mean, and he doesn't listen, and then he listens to Mando, and Mando is like, "Good job, kid, yeah, like good
That's
job."
such a proud dad.
Yeah, like proud dad moment, and she's like, "He's attached to you," and he's like, "Well, no shit, I saved his goddamn ass
A
And
bunch
she's
of
like,
times, yeah.
But and this is where the pain really came out, and like the last episode of the Clone Wars really hit me.
Yeah,
is when she was like, "I watched a good Jedi,
the best we had,
fall
to the dark side,
fall to the dark side."
Yeah, because he had so many like painful and fearful emotions.
Right.
So like that made me feel like, oh, that it makes complete sense when like that she didn't want to train Grogu. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Granted, he should. So do you want to just jump right into tinfoilitude?
No, I want to finish the episode, and then you can go tinfoilitude.
All right.
Well, no, go ahead.
So, no, we'll go tinfoilitude after. We'll circle back.
Anyway, so they do that, and now they're like, okay, we got to stop this faction. These are bad people. Okay. Then you find out the first hammer that drops now is they mention an HK-87 droid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, did they just say HK? I actually paused it, rewound it, and played it again, and I was like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Here it goes.
Yeah.
Hunter killer droid.
Yeah, hunter killer droids. And if you don't know, the most popular HK droid is HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic, and then following into Star Wars The Old Republic with HK-51, and there's an HK-47 droid in the game as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
HK-47's there, HK-55. Yeah, and HK-47 is one of the best sort of EU additions to Star Wars as far as droids. He's just what an amazing character.
But what a way Dave Filoni can bring in the HK droids without saying HK-47, but an HK series droid, just like the IG-11 droid.
Right.
Yep.
The IG-88 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it was the original, and then this is IG-11.
Oh, okay.
In Mando.
Got it.
And then they started talking about how they're going to take the town and all that and the security, and that's when they mentioned the
HK droids.
The HK droids.
Can I talk about that character?
Which one?
The hired gun, essentially.
Sure.
So that guy's play. So there's some cool Easter eggs surrounding that character. So first,
which hired gun?
Like the guy, the other male that Mando has a showdown with.
Oh, the general.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says Mando's talking to Ahsoka this is at the point where they're gonna go raid the town, right?
Mm.
So he mentions this guy. He's like the right hand man for the magistrate, and he goes, at first I think something happened, and I was watching this episode with my dad. It's like, hey, it looks like his armor is black, but it's stormtrooper armor, so it looks like it's old. I made a comment like, oh, it's cool how they recycled old stuff, like they found stormtrooper armor. And then Mando makes a comment, I bet you that guy's former military. So he's probably, the reference is that guy's a stormtrooper, or he used to be, and then defected or something happened, and now he's working for this lady. Well, there's some cool Easter eggs for that character, in that actor. So that actor's name, I didn't really recognize. I didn't know his name before, but I looked it up after. Is Michael Biehn, Biehn. That guy was a character in Tombstone, the old Western movie, and then also he was in Terminator and Aliens. So if you notice, this guy has in The Mandalorian, he has a shotgun blaster. And I don't think we've seen anybody else with a shotgun blaster before this guy. So his character in Terminator and Alien makes it Terminator, not so much. He uses a shotgun. In Alien, he makes it a point that he's the only trooper in Alien that also carries a shotgun, just in case. A shotgun kills everything, in reference to the Aliens.
Sure.
So then, of course, his character in The Mandalorian, as a callback, because they've obviously referenced Alien a bunch of times, between the little, eggs and the sort of snacky creature that attacks Grogu in the ship, then that one of those episodes. So he's got a shotgun blaster in reference to that. And then also in the final showdown with Mando, he says something to the effect of, hey, my quarrel's not with you, or the fight's not with you, Mando. And that's mirrors the line exactly that his character in Tombstone says to Doc Holliday when they have their duel in the street. It's like, my quarrel's not with you, Doc Holliday. And then he does the same shit where Doc Holliday puts his arms down and then still beats him on the draw and kills him. And he dies the exact same way, which I thought was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
With a lot of layers of Easter eggs.
Yeah. So again, Filoni's the man.
It was awesome. I kept going oh, wait a minute. I was like, oh, that's so cool. My dad's like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to watch the show. But anyways, I thought that, so you can gloss over that character and not know any of that stuff, but to know those are all sort of callbacks and references is cool.
And something else I noticed in the background of the city was a Loth cat.
Yes. Okay. I can get into the Loth cat thing.
Okay.
So we've seen.
Yes. Right. So are they calling that Ezra Bridger's going to be in it?
Yes.
Or I agree, but so Mando's fighting all the outside forces. Ahsoka goes in to fight the Magistrate.
Mm-hmm.
Magistrate is bad fucking ass.
Magistrate plays no games.
No, and she is tough as shit. Ahsoka lost one of her sabers.
Right.
Oh, I mean, she gets it back, but you know what I mean?
That was
into
crazy.
the water.
So here's the thing about that. We want to talk about that fight because I like the whole choreography of that fight. It was very entertaining and it was great to watch. But as you said, Ahsoka loses a lightsaber there. But I thought it was a stupid fight. Because Ahsoka is this trained Jedi. She's a warrior, and this is going up against a non-Force user with a stick. And I thought to myself, this shouldn't even be a fight. I mean, I just felt, if you're Ahsoka or a Jedi, maybe lead off with a Force choke. How about a Force push or a Force pull to pull the staff out of her hands? That, that shouldn't have been as tough a fight as it was. And I thought back to And I remember the scene like in Star Wars: The Old Republic, like when we do Knights of the Fallen Empire. We're in chapter 3, and you get broken out of the carbonite prison, and we face one of the villains. What's her name? Valen for the first time. And there's a scene where she, standing across this way, looking at us, and she looks down at her lightsaber and says, "No, I'm not going to need this," because she just knows how badass she is, and that this isn't even going to be a close fight. I didn't feel like this should have been much of a fight at all, and that it just felt like a bit of a stretch to me that it was the battle that it was.
Well, speaking of Valen, so if you remember Valen, like in that trailer, I don't know I forget what the name of the trailer was, but like from a baby, they were showing how strong her force powers were.
Mm-hmm.
So when you fought Valen for the first time, it was going to be like heavy force use, and I understand that strength in like Valkorian and all that. I feel like because of that, they had to show that like true power. But my point is, I think what the show does well is they keep true to their form.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, so they really like that Western feel of a show. But that duel was about two people who respected each other as warriors, and they fought as samurais would.
Right.
Because that was a full-fledged samurai fight, and it almost reminded me of fencing.
Yeah.
Like they fenced until there was a point scored, and then they reset and they started over. So I just feel like there was a mutual respect there, because Ahsoka, like you said about the force choke or anything,
push, pull, whatever,
force choke, push, pull, force slam, pull the thing out, whatever it is. If she did that, she might not get the answers that she wanted. And Ahsoka felt maybe as if she beat her fair and square. The magistrate would have told her what she wanted out of respect, in my opinion. So as much as I thought the fight was unnecessary for that, I think there was just a mutual warrior respect, and they took care of business. But that magistrate was still bad to the bone.
Yeah.
Oh, she was. Yeah, she was up to the task, right, for that particular encounter.
Right. And you knew that Beskar staff was going to end up with the Mando, because Mando's going to have to fight Gideon, and he's going to need something to stop it that can attack Gideon back.
Right. I saw a theory. I think your point is completely correct and definitely played into it more than what I'm going to say here. I think it was definitely like a respect thing, and cinematically it was emulating like a samurai fight where it's lots of honor and like a score point reset. Yep. Anyways, but I think somebody online said it could be like a weight thing for Ahsoka. Like lightsabers, the blades, there's no weight to them; they're just plasma, right? So when you encounter like a lightsaber duel, there's like no resistance almost. You know what I mean? When you're like hitting each other, versus like when she would hit the weight in a lightsaber is only in the hilt. So when you'd hit like a Beskar staff like that, it's a totally different feel. So it like throws off all of your fight mechanics, which could have contributed, is all I was going to say. To like leveling the playing field a little bit.
And I do like what they're doing with the Beskar. And like you said, just going back briefly to the encounter when Ahsoka and Mando fought together, you really understood in that fight, and that to me felt like a legitimate encounter as well. But you sort of understood why the Jedi and Mandalorians were, fierce opponents, and you could understand why the Mandalorians were a threat to the Jedi, because they were able to counter a lot of what they could do, and a lot of that's obviously the Beskar and their warrior attitude and the technology of their armor. But I like that what they're doing with that.
Yeah, and then to top it off, during the fight, the little comedic relief is that general going, "Whose side, my side or your side's going to win?" And they're listening, and he's like, "Yep, looks like your side won, Mando."
Yeah,
and like clearly you knew she was going to win. But the thing where I went crazy, but I didn't go bananas. Okay, when Ahsoka was like, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?"
Oh, I absolutely. You didn't go bananas. I lost my shit. My dad was like, "What is wrong with you? Who the fuck is Thrawn?" And I like ran around the house. I was like, "No way!" I think I actually paused the episode. I was like, "Thrawn's gonna be in this. Let's go!"
So, and I'm gonna dive into this part of it. What I don't like is this is where Disney, I think, screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
The big bad in the sequel trilogy should have been Thrawn. They've made Thrawn like this secret, top secret agent in Clone War. I mean, in Rebels.
Yeah, they have all the trilogy of books about him.
The books and all this shit. But he wasn't in the movie. And like, to me, he should have, like, they should have cloned Heir to the Empire's trilogy, that first trilogy. And that would have been a great conclusion to the Skywalker saga, essentially.
Yeah.
With Thrawn. But it's hard for me because like he's always there, but he's not really there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he's never been in a movie, and he's in the show. He's in the Rebels, and Rebels is happening during
the original trilogy.
Trilogy, but he's nowhere to be found in the original trilogy. And then after, he's in it now, and he's nowhere to be. I don't know. It's just a really weird character.
Yeah. I feel like we probably, if we see him this season, it'll be just a glimpse, or like we probably won't see him this season, if I had to guess. I feel like you need to deal with Moff Gideon first, and then he'll be the big bad for season 3 or something.
Yeah.
So,
or the other option is maybe they're going to do an Ahsoka series, and maybe this is a potential launching point for that, and then they could pick up that Thrawn storyline there. I don't know. Maybe something they could do. I just feel like I love the Thrawn mention. I wasn't expecting to hear that, and so I was excited about it, but I just felt like it was another dangling thread with only 3 more episodes to go that we're probably going to have to wait another some odd months before we see any fruit from the seed that they're planting.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, for me, I do agree there's going to be an Ahsoka series of some sort, or an Ahsoka like short, or maybe like a mini series with Ahsoka. I do see that coming because she's such a popular character, and why wouldn't? I mean, let's face it, it's Disney and it's a female lead character. Disney's going to capitalize on that.
Yeah,
100%. But where I'm kind of wondering now is Gideon his own faction of the Empire and Thrawn is his own faction of the Empire? Is Thrawn just out there with the chess ascendancy and he's running around? Like, where is the significance of Thrawn into this? I think that's more my question than holy shit, Thrawn's in it. I want to know, like, is he the boss? Is he the Grand Admiral to Moff Gideon?
Right.
Or is Moff Gideon the boss? You know what I mean? Because there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think Moff, is that a political title? It's not a military one directly. I'm trying to remember.
Yes, it is. But at the same,
they also do military stuff.
Right. But at the same time, it's where does Thrawn fall into this?
Right.
And like Ted was saying, we're not going to find out this season.
That's
you know what I mean? Like, you might get. So is this going to end like, is this season going to end like season 1 where, okay, Mando's got all of his buddies from season 2. They're going to team up
and defeat the bad guy, but not really.
Right. And the other thing that is happening right now, I think, is Marvel. I'm going to go to Marvel now. Mm-hmm. Marvel started in the 60s, right? And they wrote comic books and comic books and comic books, and they found out what comic books sold and which ones didn't. Then they wrote graphic novels, and then they made movies, and there were some movies that completely flopped, and then some that were successful. And they had so many years to try different things to find out what works. So then the newest Marvel, the Thanos story, comes out, and it's awesome. They all connect. It's because they knew what they were going to want to do because they had so many years of trial and error of everything else. I think that's kind of what Star Wars is going to do with the High Republic and now with Mando and this stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to try different things. And if it doesn't work, you get another episode the next week.
Right.
Or the next season. Okay, so this season wasn't spectacular. People are still going to watch season 3 even if they didn't like season 2.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or the hardcore Star Wars fans. Let's face it, Star Wars is the number 2 most popular IP in the world.
Yeah.
Next to Marvel, in my opinion. I don't know if anything
else. At least
else
in our culture,
Mhm.
US, UK.
I mean, what? There's no
even
anime.
in China.
Yeah, but there's no anime that's bigger than Star Wars.
I think Pokemon is.
But they don't
that's
have
not for real. Not like movies and TV shows.
Right.
And,
exactly. Anyway, so then this is where the disconnect of Star Wars movie fans are versus Star Wars video game players and Star Wars The Old Republic players come in.
Right.
Ahsoka tells Mando he's got to go to the ancient home world of Tython.
Right.
And I went fucking bananas.
I knew,
this is where I lost my shit.
Yep, I gasped big time when I heard that.
Right, because that's the opening planet for Star Wars The Old Republic of the Jedi Temple.
Right.
And I lost my mind. Like, I flipped out.
Yeah.
But here's the disconnect. Like, I've been listening to all those podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, one of the podcasts was like, they said he's got to go to some stupid planet called Tython. Who cares? Whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, do you realize how significant Tython is?
Right.
And then another one, they were doing the research and they were like, the only thing we can find about Tython is from the game Star Wars The Old Republic. And the two guys on the show were like, hey, it's free to play. We're going to play it tonight. We're going to download it and play it and make a Jedi so we can see what Tython looks like to find some canon.
Right.
And I'm like, that's where my tinfoil hat really engaged to where SWTOR is going at their 10-year anniversary.
Right. Yeah, it's the first thing I thought of, actually, because I'm really into Thrawn. Obviously, I've read all the books, or listened to them all, I should say, and I'm working through Rebels now, which Thrawn is in. But that's a cool character for me. So that was my big freak out moment. But then when I heard that he needs to go to Tython, I immediately thought of Marcus and went, "Oh, that's going to be Marcus's big freak out." Because that essentially pulls in your tinfoil hat about SWTOR's 10-year anniversary going to consoles. I was like, this is them pulling people towards Star Wars: The Old Republic for sure.
Right, and if you're an average Star Wars video game player and you hear Tython and you Google what the hell is Tython and everything that pops up is Star Wars: The Old Republic, you're going to download the game.
And it's free. There's no
commitment.
Right.
Even if you play it for 30 seconds, you're like, the graphics suck, I'm done. You're still going to download the game.
Right.
Because it's free to play.
It's engagement.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just furthers my tinfoil hat of SWTOR is getting you can get the Mandalorian bundle and you can look like the Mandalorian in game.
Right.
That's a great concept, by the way.
Right, exactly. And you can get the disintegration rifle if you're a commando or one of those Vanguard that uses that rifle. Yeah. And it actually fucking disintegrates. If you shoot something with the killing blow with it, disintegrates them.
That's cool.
Like,
that's wicked cool.
And then if you think about it, Star Wars Squadrons comes out, you get a little mini pet of one of the planes.
Yeah.
You get when Fallen Order came out, you got a little BD-1 pet.
Yep.
All of the things are coming out that are linking it together that, in my opinion, furthers my tinfoil hat that this game they're planning something really big for the launch of the 10-year anniversary. Yeah. Almost like maybe a re-release, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of some sort. Anyways, we've talked forever, but we can't stop what Ahsoka said. So after I freaked out and I unpaused it, she said, you're going to go to Tython and get the
Seeing Stone.
And once you do that,
you got to reach out through the Force for another Jedi, basically. Right? That's the way I took it.
And so...
that someone answers the call, right? That would be,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ahsoka goes, but I don't know if anyone will. There's not a lot of Jedi left, which made everybody think, oh yeah, who is alive and out there in this time frame?
Right.
So I came up with a list in the show notes here of the 3 people. Obviously, we talked about one already, but I'm going to go start with the least interesting, or I think least sort of, least likely to be the person to answer the call. I'm going to go with Cal Kestis from Fallen Order.
Well, so I actually disagree with that.
Okay.
I think he is one of the top people.
Okay.
Because what if the next chapter of that is Fallen Order 2?
Oh, and it's a time skip to where him like doing stuff.
Well, no, he smashed the list of all the Force sensitives.
Mhm.
Right.
That's shit. Ted, you didn't finish the game.
I heard that though. I read
Okay.
that. I stumbled upon that.
Okay.
All right.
That's okay.
So moving on.
I mean, that's the big point of the
Yeah.
game is that he's going after that. So you imagine he's successful in his
right.
quest.
So he's successful, and now where does he go from there? So now Darth Vader knows about him.
Yeah.
And it's over. And now that actively they are making a Fallen Order 2.
Right.
So is it that Yoda baby goes into the Tython?
Yep.
And finds the Seeing Stone, and that is the launch of Fallen Order 2? That's a good possibility. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna, because I would say on the likely scale, it's the least likely out of all the options.
Right.
But there's an option because he's like, what do we do next?
Right.
We'll find our own Jedi.
Right. That would be cool.
Okay, who's next?
I would say second most likely would be, or second of the list of three I could think of would be Luke Skywalker, because this is 5 years after the second Death Star blows up, and presumably Luke is still doing like his sort of recruiting of Force sensitives and building a new Jedi Academy at this point. This is before all of the Kylo Ren stuff that happens in the in the sequel trilogy. So you still have like, hey, I'm a Jedi, I'm connected to the Force, Luke out and about somewhere that could be answering the call. And I wouldn't be surprised if like he's not the person that trains them, but you like hear his voice or like get some mention of Luke when Grogu reaches out through the Force. What do you guys think about that?
I think from a story standpoint, Luke is like the smart choice. He's like the right choice just for that very reason, right? He's, probably looking to establish, a new Jedi Academy and start, training new Jedi. And this is probably what he would be doing, looking for Force sensitives. So it would seem like it would make sense for him to answer the call. But I just somehow don't think we're ready to see Luke make an appearance and take Grogu under his wing. Plus, if Grogu does go to Luke's new academy, it's kind of depressing when the fate of Luke's academy. So no one really wants to see him go there, knowing what might happen, what's going to happen down the road. So that's why I'm going to lean against Luke Skywalker, although I think it would make total sense that Luke would be the one to answer the call.
Right. I think there's a 0.0% chance it's Luke.
Yeah.
For the reason that Disney is trying to move away from the Skywalker saga, and they're trying not to further Luke's, like they're trying to not further the Skywalker name. Essentially, they're trying to actively, like they finished that series, and I think it's over. Like, let's move. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along. I'm not saying that maybe he won't make an appearance sometime.
Yeah.
It's in some way, some shape, or maybe he's the first Jedi that shows up and's like, look it, man,
I can't do that.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Because 5 years after you don't know where he is 5 years after. Is he training Jedi or is he trying to learn it himself?
Right.
Okay.
And also, I think, as far as like storytelling from the people making the show, like if as soon as you include Luke Skywalker into the cast, he's immediately the main character, and the show's not about the Mandalorian anymore.
And I agree. And back to what you were saying, Marcus, I think Disney, I think they want to see Star Wars make it and be able to stand on its legs without having Luke, Han, and Leia and these main characters from the original trilogy. I think they'd want to see that this universe be able to live, breathe, and grow, and still be, as engaging and powerful without those core characters being essential.
Right. So, Marcus, were you going to say something else?
Nope.
So this brings us to all of our agreed upon most likely candidate, and that would be Ezra Bridger, the main character from Star Wars Rebels, with the largest piece of evidence being the two separate shots of Loth cats, one in season 1 and one we got in this episode in season 2. So if you don't know, Ted, do you want to explain what a Lothcat is? Or do you know, or do you want me to?
I know what they look like. I could pick one out of a lineup, but so I know they were from Star Wars Rebels. They're native to the planet Lothal.
Yep.
And like I said, I haven't seen enough of Rebels to know their significance. I know there were some episodes where Ezra Wright was on Lothal trying to learn about his parents, I guess, and he was being
harassed by a Lothcat.
Yeah, beckoned by a Lothcat. So there was a Lothcat that he was sort of following around and aiding him in that task.
Right.
I think this is a good. I think this Jedi will be a good option for them because it'll tie Rebels to the show. It's not a Skywalker, has nothing to do with the Skywalker saga, essentially,
right?
Like directly, and it's an unknown live action character. It's never been done before. But I was reading something for me, and I kind of hope it's Mace Windu.
Me too.
Mace Windu would be epic
because let's face it, if you fall down a reactor shaft or get thrown out of a window, you aren't dead.
And he only lost a hand, right? Whereas Maul was like cut in half. So
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Kenobi.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm watching. So I want to talk about Ezra real quick before you talk about the other ones.
Yeah.
So I think it's Ezra because of the Lothcats, obviously. But if you think about it, so I know you guys haven't seen much of Rebels, but I would say of all of our, besides Anakin, because he obviously goes full dark side, of all of our like Jedis who stay Jedis, he has the most dealings with the dark side of like actually getting involved with it of any other like Jedi that stays Jedi character I've seen. Now, granted, I haven't watched through season 4, so I don't know how like super Jedi he is, but so far through season 3, he's gone to the Darklands and he still stayed a Jedi. And I don't want to spoil things for you guys because you're going to watch it, but he does a lot of stuff with the dark side. So if Grogu is grappling with dark side, like emotions and feelings, I think Ezra's the best candidate to be like, look, here's how you handle those and stay in the light. I think he's like the best candidate that I can think of to do that.
Don't forget Mace. Why do you think he's got the purple blade?
I know. So I hadn't even considered Mace Windu. Obviously, he's like a gray Jedi and dabbles in both.
But again, it brings up, if they bring Samuel L. Jackson back, he's immediately the main character.
I don't know if he has the same effect that Luke would, though,
Oh, no, not Luke, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how this next 3 episodes are. I feel like the next episode is going to be another, like, character building episode, and I feel like the last 2 are just going to be out of control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, don't forget, it comes out in like 3 hours. Because we're recording it at 11.
No, it comes out in 37 minutes.
Oh, it releases at midnight?
Yes.
Well, I'm definitely watching that when I get home.
Not me.
The only thing about Mace Windu is how old would he be at this point? He'd have to be pretty darn old. I mean, he wasn't.
So this is what, 20 years after?
So you figured episode 3, Anakin's 19, he'd be 50 now. So it's 31 years later. He'd be in his
70s?
Presumably,
60s,
70s,
something like that. Yeah.
60s or 70s. Perfect age to train a Jedi.
I mean, same age as Samuel L. Jackson in real life.
Yeah. Boy, that would work. I mean, I guess the question, though, is are they going to get rid of Grogu at some point? Is this journey going to end with the Mandalorian, handing him over and leaving him?
I don't think they can.
Trained,
I don't think they can. I think maybe the Jedi joins the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a Rebels, like kind of like they live on the ship kind of a thing. I can't see them offing Grogu.
Yeah.
Right.
Because now, like, people love the show because of Grogu.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they've married the fact that Grogu is a part of the show.
Yeah.
And, and they can't go too far away from the Mando with Grogu because then, Mando is a bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So like so eventually Grogu is going to find where he should be And even if Grogu decides to stay with the Mandalorian, then maybe Grogu becomes a bounty hunter.
Or follows the Mandalorian way. Yeah.
But that's what I mean, because he's a foundling now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I see. You know what's interesting? You said go the Rebels route where they sleep on the ship and stuff. I hadn't considered this until just now, but the ship, the Razor Crest, is like almost a main character. Like, you see the ship get destroyed all the time, but that ship is so important to the plot of the story that it's almost like a character. And I wouldn't be surprised to see like a team up like that where whichever Jedi it is. If Ezra, I think, again, would make a lot of sense to stay on the ship then and like join the squad if that's the direction they go down, is like sort of the dual training of the Jedi stuff with like the Mandalorian things for Grogu. That could be cool.
But,
yeah.
You made a good point there, Marcus. Maybe becoming a Jedi isn't Grogu's destiny, right? Maybe he's just going to be this Force-sensitive character that does something else, like becomes a bounty hunter or trains to be a Mandalorian warrior, perhaps. I don't know. That might be interesting to see something like that happen.
I guess it all is going to be answered with what happens with Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
Because like maybe the way this season ends is Grogu gets taken by Gideon, and what's his name needs to, and the next season Mando's trying to find him.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like he finds the child, and now he lives with the child, and now he loses the child.
Right.
Almost like Empire Strikes Back, where we're in season 2, so Empire Strikes Back, the Empire wins.
Right.
And season 3 is the redemption. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or it could be a good way. Could be like Moff Gideon gets defeated and Bo-Katan gets her Darksaber back, but some other forces capture the child, and that's how Thrawn gets tied in, or something like that.
I don't know if I could wait a year, 9 months, 8 months, however long it is to find out the fate of Grogu.
I know
that would not be good.
No, that would be horrible.
Sure, I can handle that.
Ted, tell everybody where they can find you.
So you can find me on Twitter. It's at SWTOR Podcast, and you can check out my podcast at SWTORpodcast.com. And the podcast is also on Buzzsprout. I'm sure there's a fancy URL for that. I couldn't tell you what it was. But just Google SWTOR Podcast, and you'll find me.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of Working Class Nerds.